Welcome into the Midday Show here on 97.5 The Fanatic. I'm Ray Dunn hanging out with you for the next 4 hours. I got Austin Jones with me, and we are on the doorstep of a sweep. 4 games against the Mets. All I asked for at the beginning of the week was, hey, just split it, okay? And I know this morning they continued the conversation about Sanity Week and the sanity that we needed here. This has been beyond that for me. This has been just zen. I am as happy, as content, as taken care of as I've been with my baseball team in a long time. And it all comes from a pure hatred of New York Mets, and it's been beautiful over the last 3 days to see them take care of business. We are going to get to Eagles Chiefs and what we're looking for this Sunday. We will talk to Olivia Reiner coming up at 1:25 about everything going on with this matchup and with this Eagles team right now. But just a glorious, glorious 3 days of baseball. And again, once again, the addition of Bader has made this outfield better because it stabilized center field and allowed you to maximize the corner spots. Max Kepler last night continues an all-time redemption arc right now over the last 6 weeks. I tweeted something out on August 5th, right around the time where like the height of DFA Kepler was, because I went back and read the replies and the quote tweets of what I tweeted out, and it was pretty much all DFA Kepler. And at that point, his ridiculous slash line since the beginning of May was gross. Since that tweet, he's hitting over 300. He had 5 runs batted in last night. He has figured it out and looked tremendous in that platoon role. Bader has been nothing short of tremendous since they brought him in. And obviously, Marsh has now had the bounce-back season from the beginning that he had, where last night, sitting around with a couple of friends, one points out, hey, you know who's got a better OPS right now than Pete Crow Armstrong? Brandon Marsh. Get it. He's in a platoon role, PCAs every day. But still, it's amazing to see. It really is. And that outfield has been a driving force of why this lineup has been lengthened, why the offense has been so good. And now you legitimately are seeing just what they can really do to take pitching staffs to task with another big win last night over the Mets. And isn't it beautiful to see the Mets in free fall? The Giants didn't take care of business yesterday. The Reds did. And that last wild card spot chase, very interesting. Cincinnati and San Francisco today will have their eyes looking right at Philadelphia. Say, hey, Phils, mind doing us a favor? Get a 4-game sweep here and make this last wild card spot interesting. The Phils with another win last night over the Mets. And Christopher Sanchez again. Can't say enough about the season he's had and the way that the 3 lefties in this rotation have stepped up since Zach Wheeler was lost for this season. Now, I want to take this idea that we have about the Mets and we had coming into this week, and also the idea we've got about this weekend's football game, and kind of mesh them together here. Because we got into this a little bit in the 1 o'clock hour yesterday. And it was how much you let non-game related factors impact the way you watch what you're watching. We came into this week, and the way the Mets were playing, it should not have really invoked any fear in the people here in Philadelphia. Yet you listen to me on Monday, you go talk to literally anyone out there that was getting ready for this Phillies-Mets series. Most people, at least. Most people I was talking to. Like, they've got some sort of hold on this team. They own the Phillies. They're in their heads. There's no way they're going to be able to beat them. And that was a prevailing thought. And given the way they played 2 weeks in New York, it was an understandable thought. They still haven't won a game at Citi Field this year. This is still the team that beat you in the postseason last year. But when you looked at, 1, the teams on paper, and 2, when you look at the way the Mets have been playing, this series should have favored the Phillies. But we came in here with thoughts that kind of surround the playing field. Not necessarily on the diamond, not necessarily on the field, but things that at least permeate our brains as narratives surrounding these teams. And we let that impact us. Or at least I should speak for myself on this one. I let that impact me. Take you to this Sunday. Eagles, Chiefs. If you look at these two teams, week 1 performances, favors the Eagles. The Eagles won, Chiefs lost. Don't ask Nick Wright that, but favors the Eagles. If you look at the two teams on paper, much like we said leading up to that Super Bowl last year, I still believe it today, going into this game on Sunday, the Eagles are the better team. They have the better roster. I would take their team over the Chiefs team every day of the week and hopefully twice this Sunday. But yet, you listen to people talk about this matchup, and it's, well, can the Chiefs really start 0-2? Well, can Mahomes really lose 3 straight games going back to last season? Well, it's a get-back game for the Chiefs, right? There was revenge that has to be really brought back here against the Birds. That revenge factor, that get-back game, it's a big deal. So much so that the question was asked to Jaylen Hurts because this is a prevailing narrative about the two sides. Here's what Hurts had to say about the way he perceives the conversation of a get-back game for the Chiefs.
You just want to make it about the things you can control. Truly make it about the things you can control. We can go out there and control our preparation daily, control our effort, control our discipline and the things, and have that right focus and have confidence in our preparation, go out there and play. And we're just trying to make it about that.
Surprise, surprise. Jaylen Hurts, not at all bothered by something outside those four walls and not at all bothered by something outside of football. But we, the ones that follow along with the team, the fan base surrounding the team, and surrounding sports, can get impacted by those narratives. So I'm curious for you today, and you can chime in at this at 610-632-0975. How much do you let the non-game-related factors impact the way that you watch sports? Because I likened it yesterday to the bite-sized analysis that you get. On Sunday, they'll do the Fox NFL Sunday picks at the end of that hour-long show, and they'll kick it around the table, and you only have about 15 to 20 seconds to explain why you're going the way that you are. We have 4 hours here to opine on everything. We got 4 hours to opine specifically on Philadelphia. So Fox NFL Sunday was just the one that came to mind. You want to go ESPN, get up tomorrow when they're going around the table talking about how they're going to pick. There's going to inevitably be an analyst this week that sits up there and says, listen, the Eagles are really good, reigning Super Bowl champions, but I don't know, man. I just can't pick against Mahomes. I can't pick against the Chiefs. I can't see them starting 0-2. So for that reason, I've got the Chiefs. And for some of you out there, that holds true as the way you view this game this weekend. You view this game this weekend as, the rivalry thing, when we did W's and L's. Those are always the bite-sized analysis. Well, looking at that game that's 6 months from now, let's see. Revenge game for the Chiefs. I could see the Chiefs win that game. They're a good team. Might as well. And that's where you leave it. And it's nothing against the bite-sized analysis you get on those national shows. It's nothing against how you feel as a fan. But I'm curious for you as a fan. How much do you let those outside game factors impact you? Because as I still work through the way I feel about this game, and we're going to get to the actual football, the actual conversation about the game throughout the show today. But as I start to go through the game, I feel better and better about the Eagles' chances, given it was a game that when we went through the schedule at first, I was like, I think they're going to lose this game. I feel better and better given what I saw last week from the Chiefs, given what I know about the Philadelphia Eagles, and given the health on the two sides, considering what the Chiefs have at wide receiver. All those reasons start to walk me down a path of, I should feel really good about this Eagles team winning. But you have that slight little thing in the back of your head, well, is that how sports work? Is that how this is actually going to work for you? And I said yesterday I thought that this game this weekend was about who ends up controlling their emotions better. The emotions of the Eagles, which they seem to be doing a really good job of, again, just the men in black, nothing before we reported to training camp ever happened type conversation where they've just lost their memory of anything beyond like the end of July, and they're not addressing, Super Bowl, do you have fond memories? A.J. Brown was asked that. He's like, no, when we watch it, we watch it. That doesn't really impact me. Sirianni at least gave you an answer yesterday where he was like, you enjoy it, but I'm not running up and down the sidelines again. It's interesting to watch the mentality they take into this game, but I think the emotions on either side will dictate this game. But even when we go back to the way this week started with the Phillies and Mets, I'm not immune to it. Mets came to town. Oh, no, not this team again. Don't do it to me again. I was begging for a split against a team that was struggling, against a team that now 3 games into this series is 10 games back in the division. I was begging for a split. I'm talking about whether or not this team's going to make the playoffs. So clearly it impacts me. I'm curious for you at 610-632-0975. How much do you let non-game related factors impact the way that you watch sports? Because I think it just seeps into you inevitably. But I'm curious for the people that are able to let that go to the side and not really acknowledge it. Coming up, Jason Stark was on with Unfiltered yesterday. And I talked about the bottom of the National League playoff picture as it relates to the Mets. What about the top? We'll get to that number 1 seed conversation also. Is it time to reopen your eyes on what you think the ceiling is for this team as you watch them play as well as they have? I've been a skeptic for quite a while now at this point. Am I going to start to let myself believe again? Austin, it's a dangerous feeling. We'll get to it. I'm Ray Dunn, taking you through middays here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Attention, Delaware Valley.
Shefty, lastly, what's the status for Xavier Worthy for Sunday's game? I don't know how you play with a brace when you have that kind of an injury to your shoulder, but I'm not calling myself as tough as an NFL player. Andy Reid saying it's day to day. Do you believe Xavier Worthy will be playing Sunday against the Eagles?
My guess would be no. And if he does play, he'll play with a harness. And I don't know how effective he'll be with a harness when you're a little guy and a fast. I don't know those things. I've never played a football game with a harness on. So, look, he's not going to be full strength if he plays. That's the one factor that we know. They don't have Rashee Rice. So they're certainly a little shorthanded at wide receiver. And when you watch the Chiefs on Friday, and maybe it was just a function of it being week one in Brazil against a tough Chargers defense. Like maybe all those things all factored in. But they just looked a little they looked a little sluggish to me. They didn't look as explosive as you expect a Chiefs offense to be. Now, saying that, they can go out on Sunday and light up the scoreboard with 30 or 40 points.
The Fanatic. I'm Ray Dunn, taking you through it. Austin Jones producing the program here. And Austin, I'm curious for you, where I open up the conversation today at 610-632-0975. How much do you let non-game related factors, narratives, storylines, impact the way that you watch sports? Because when I look at this game on Sunday X and O-wise, I want to be like, yeah, Birds win. When I looked at this series this week, Phillies-Mets, I look at the two teams, like, yeah, this should be the Phillies series. Like, look at the way the Mets are playing. Look at the two teams. And, you know, you come into this series with a 7-game lead. and they've owned you this season head-to-head. Think about how much better you have been than them outside of the head-to-head this season. Now you have a 10-game lead, and at this point, you're still, don't tell me, 5-7 against them this season. So even with that, you have a 10-game lead. You're 2 games under 500 against them this year. Just imagine if you had played them to the reverse, at least how bad this would be. Like, logically, I should have came into this week like, all right, new series, this team will take care of them. I should come into this Sunday with, hey, I don't care who's on the other side of the field. If I think this is the better team, this is the better team. Yet, I let the storylines and narratives impact me. I'm curious for you how much you let that impact you.
Yeah, so I let them impact me a little bit. In regards to the Phillies, a lot more against the Mets than the Eagles against the Chiefs, just because I have more confidence in the Eagles beating the Chiefs, especially after what we saw from the Chiefs on Friday night against the Chargers. Whereas the Phillies, the Mets have essentially been the boogeyman with, Halloween coming up, trying to get into the spirit there. The Mets have seemed to just be a thorn in their side. So I was kind of like you, where I'm like, if they split the series, I consider that a win. And now that they won the series, I want to go to the top of the roof here of the studio and start screaming and beating my chest like King Kong. But, I didn't feel that way going into it. So I kind of got to watch myself and calm down a little bit, because what I've been seeing from the first 3 games, I've been very excited. But I got to remind myself that, again, the Mets have been the boogeyman. And this series is here down in Philly. If this was the reverse and they were kicking butt up in New York, you probably wouldn't have a producer for the day.
I'll be honest with you. If they were doing this up in New York and I was up in New York, I would have found the guys at the 7-line subway that were yelling at me 2 weeks ago, and there would be a back and forth. We would at least be talking. I'm still, hey, invitations out there for those couple fellas. They've got the video of me. You know where to find me. Like, come on. Let's go. You told me. You were coming down to Philadelphia, take the division, all 4 games. And right now 0-3.
And now you just go to them and you put both hands up and you just put 10.
Yeah, 10.
Put 10 on them.
10 games.
10 toes down.
Now, you mentioned something right there, and the excitement and the level of excitement this has taken you to, and we've all rode the roller coaster of a baseball season. That's what this is. You get caught up in it. Sometimes you get swept away in it. It's like the tide. Sometimes you're really high. Sometimes you're really low. And it's always kind of swinging on that pendulum because there are so many games and there's so many stretches for a team. Now, you mentioned that excitement. I want to get to that in a second with Jason Stark. You also mentioned something right there. You want to get in the Halloween spirit. Austin, I got to be honest with you.
Oh, boy, Ray.
I had this debate with friends last night that I was with. The pumpkin craze. It's still, I guess now it's middle September. It's too early for me.
Yeah.
I get it. Fall is like almost here and summer is over, but I need like an in-between few weeks before it's pumpkins everywhere, before it's, pumpkin-themed trivia, before it's Halloween-themed everything. I don't know. Maybe I am like a little bit of a Scrooge when it comes to Halloween, but I kind of needed maybe 2 weeks here. Get me to September 21st, like the official start of fall, then start selling me on the whole pumpkin thing.
No, you're on the money. I agree with you. I'm not a big pumpkin spice person like that, but the girlfriend's already starting to decorate for fall. She's got some knick-knack stuff like pillows for every season that comes
out.
through.
Everything's out at this point.
It's like trickling through. By the end of this month, again, Ray.
You don't have power. No, it's okay.
Yeah, I'm a lone man in there. I ain't got nothing to say.
No, it's all right.
I just nod my head and say, okay. But I agree with you. I'm not big on the pumpkin spice and the fact that the stores are already putting out all the Halloween stuff 2 weeks ago with the candy. How are you going to buy Halloween candy right now?
Now, time out. I will say this, and this will get me ripped. I don't mind a pumpkin spice latte. I'm good on one.
I don't mind it. It's the hype around it that it's like
it's just too early for it.
Yeah.
It's too early for it. It's like beginning of November getting the holiday Christmas themed
peppermint
things going.
mocha.
Yeah, like peppermint mocha. It's too early for me. You just mentioned that you were trying to get us close to the pumpkin Halloween thing. I understand. Home life, that stuff's starting to trickle out and the decorations are starting to show up. I don't have that in my apartment, if you could believe that. The 3 of us living, we don't have that. It's a little early for me. You say that, it happened last night. It's a little early for me. Where we had the conversation of I think it was a group of 6 guys. So we're not exactly saving the world or doing anything revolutionary. We're wait on that. But speaking of excitement, because people getting overly excited for something at the end of October, the World Series. Jason Stark was on with Unfiltered yesterday and talked about the perception of the Phillies from outside Philadelphia, from outside the Phillies. And I got to tell you, every time I talk to Jason, I feel like every Wednesday when he talks, when we talk to him here, obviously now on Unfiltered, he would have a really good way of having me go into Thursday feeling way more excited about the ball club than how I felt on Wednesday. Take a listen to him talking about the Phillies.
When he looks at the Mets, he sees a team that isn't that different from his team or any of these teams in this pack. But when he looks at the Phillies, he sees a team that runs a starting pitcher out there every night, or just about every night, that's better than his team's pitcher and better than most teams' pitcher. And that's still true even without Zach Wheeler, which really opened my eyes. He said he told the other guys in his front office, he said, you know what, I think we've got a nice team. But when I look at that team, that's the varsity, and the rest of us are the JV. And again, these are really striking statements to hear, because I know people in Philadelphia, anytime the Phillies lose a series, don't hit, they get all those flashbacks, all those nightmares from those playoff series that went all wrong. But it's not how teams on the outside look at the Phillies. And the other thing is the numbers bear that out. The Phillies have won more series against teams with winning records than any other team in baseball.
So you hear that. And before Zach Wheeler obviously had the blood clot situation and will not pitch for the rest of the season. Before that, I had said, I remember I had B-Gun on the show, and I was like, all right, truth serum time. Just you and I talking. No one's listening. Where do you think this ride ends? And I was like, probably the NLCS. Then everything happened, obviously blood clot with Zach Wheeler, and he's done for the season. And then after that, I was really down. Kevin Cooney's sitting here like, you're going to talk yourself back into this. I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to, man. I don't think they're going to be able to do it to me. And then you heard me on Monday, my reaction to Trey Turner going down. And I was like, it's just another sign, man. This is just the one that you're going to have the cut away that you just won. And then they pull off 3 wins this week. And then I hear that from Jason Stark. Austin, I'm reaching my buyback point. I'm reaching my buyback point. They're doing it to me.
He's back, baby.
I'm trying to be guarded here. I'm trying to keep the level-headedness that I try to preach all the time, but they're really doing it to me. Look around at the Dodgers, look at how flawed they are. Padres, look at how flawed they are. Mets, screw them. Brewers, solid.
Frauds.
Solid, but just watch you take 2 or 3 of their place earlier this month. They're doing it to me, Austin. I'm trying to fight it. I feel like I'm the werewolf with the full moon out. Like, I just don't let it happen to me. And yet I think it's happening to me again. And with that, we mentioned the Brewers and all the way I'm feeling about this team right now. Coming up, Jason Stark said something else yesterday about the chances to be the 1 seed. Am I going to start buying that too? Okay, maybe not. We'll get to that. I'm Ray Dunn, taking through middays here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
I'm Austin Jones with your Fanatic Sports Update. This update brought to you by Groundworks, your trained and certified experts for basement waterproofing and foundation repair since 1997. Book your free inspection at groundworks.com. The Phillies have won their series against the Mets as they won 11-3 last night and have a 10-game lead in the NL East. Max Kepler had a 5 RBI night, and Bryce Harper hit his 25th home run on the season. Kepler spoke about getting the series win last night against the Mets.
Big accomplishment. We grinded over in New York, and we're unhappy with what we did there. So to win a series and hopefully get a sweep tomorrow is all you can ask for on the team in here right now.
Jesus Luzardo is on the mound tonight. First pitch is set for 7:15, and the game is going to be on Fox. The Eagles returned to the practice field, but they were without Dallas Goedert as he missed practice with a knee injury. Landon Dickerson and Jalen Hunt were both limited. This update's also brought to you by Bet365. Football is back. Get ready for the season at Bet365. Whenever it comes to sportsbooks, Bet365 has it all. Download the app today and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. I'm Austin Jones, your home of the best Birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Now the Eagles get ready for the Super Bowl rematch as it's all being, put out this week, that it's the Eagles and the Chiefs again. Now, we were talking this morning. We don't believe that it was 40-6 when the starters went out. We don't believe the two teams were that lopsided in talent against each other. But the beatdown on that day was very visible. To see Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes get taken out like that, what do you think they've got cooking for Sunday? And Steve Spagnuolo.
I think that it's going to be a tough challenge because, look, the Chiefs lost their first game, and they're 0-1. So they're the only team in that division, amazingly enough, after 1 week that didn't win a game. I mean, it would be something if the Chiefs fell 0-2. 0-2. There's no way that they've ever started 0-2 under Mahomes. No way. So that to me is one of the biggest challenges that the Eagles face is you know you're getting their A game this Sunday. Home opener for them, 0-1. Like you're gonna get their best game on Sunday.
Shefty, Zadarius Smith signs with the Eagles. Then they make the trade for Tank Bigsby. Was this something that you believe has been in the works for a while, or was this something to do with week one?
Both were in the works for a while. Zadarius Smith they've been talking to for quite some time. I think that they were moving towards the deal, didn't get it done in time for the opener, and obviously then got it done shortly thereafter the next day. Tank Bigsby, the conversations with the Jaguars dated back to this summer. Initially, Tank Bigsby was supposed to be a part of that deal with Fred Johnson, the offensive tackle.
Interesting.
And there were some discussions, and Jacksonville, at the end, pulled him back from the trade. And they had agreed to two separate packages. One that was a solo Fred Johnson trade, another that was a Fred Johnson and Tank Bigsby trade together. In the end, ultimately at that time, Jacksonville decided it only wanted to part ways with Fred Johnson, but obviously the Eagles remained interested in Tank Bigsby, went back to the well, and finally were able to pry him loose for a 5 and a 6.
A Chiefs offense without Rashee Rice and without Xavier Worthy, I mean, now you're down to, I get it, Travis Kelce.
Midday show here on 97.5 The Fanatic. I'm Ray Dunn taking you through it. Just glancing over at the YouTube chat right here and the excitement. And I know that there's, a little bit of don't do it, Ray. Don't buy all the way back. But I see the excitement rolling there that they might actually want me to jump back in here. And I saw also that someone might be getting Kieran thinking about getting a Harrison Bader jersey. And the dude's become beloved here. Yesterday, Can we talk about yesterday? And I know this was after I was off the air, so like this is the first I've got to react to it. They legitimately ran a poll on Unfiltered about the bigger trade deadline acquisition. Harrison Bader or Juwan Duran? You know how insane that is?
That was not a Twitter poll that we thought would come to life when the trades were made.
It's so insane that we've gotten to that point that if they had run that poll after the trade deadline, Colarulo would have looked at himself in the mirror and said, that's clickbait. Colarulo would have been yelling at a mirror.
We don't do that here.
We don't do that here. And yet, it's not because it's a legitimate conversation. Now, much as I don't know. Because when they put it out there, I was like, all right, come on, let's. And then I was like, well, look at what he's done for your outfield. The production's been great because you're able to platoon those two corners. You've been able to maximize production out of there. Offensively, that's giving you something to run. If you pitch it 3-4 times a week, that's great. But that's pretty much all I start to talk myself into it. I'm like, you're not crazy, Ray. You're not crazy to have that conversation. They're not crazy. And they're also not stupid, just like you're not stupid. But that was a legitimate conversation they had yesterday. That's how great things are going right now in the world of the Phillies. And speaking of Unfiltered, Jason Stark on with them. We mentioned in the last segment how he was talking to people around baseball where executives say in the Phillies like a varsity team, everyone else, kind of JV. And that's starting to get me to buy back. I'm starting to have the feelings. I'm starting to feel a certain way. As much as they could give me reasons not to believe, I'm starting to see it again. And then Jason Stark says this about the top seed in the National League.
The Brewers are also not out of the picture. The Phillies are only 3.5 behind the Brewers now for the number one seed, and 3 in the loss column. So that number one seed, I think, is now not completely out of play, and that would put them on the side of the draw probably with the Cubs-Padres winner, which would be a good side to be on.
Oh, man. Don't dangle the dream in front of me and then take it away, Jason. Don't do that to me, Jason Stark. Let's look at this objectively. Phillies 2.5 back right now. Brewers do have the tiebreak because they took 1 of 3 in that series in Milwaukee, and then the Brewers came here and swept them away. You remember that series? That was an ugly, ugly series. Rhys Hoskins had 17 home runs in that series. Ugly, ugly week.
Every time he comes back, he seems to be a man on a mission.
Do you blame him?
No, I don't blame him.
I was going to say.
I blame Bryce Harper.
Oh, gee. All right.
I'm kidding.
That's okay. I understand the people that have that opinion. I do. As much as it is good for his long-term health, I understand people that get upset over that. But, yeah. So they don't have the tiebreaker over the Brewers. Brewers have the tiebreaker over them. Phillies 2.5 back. Brewers 14th most difficult strength to schedule the rest of the way. Phillies 19th. The Brewers have 3 this weekend against St. Louis, 3 against the Angels, both those series at home. Then go on the road for the Cardinals, then the Padres, and then the Reds. So really, what the Phillies need to happen is for the Reds to be playing for something that last weekend. The sense of urgency to try and get that last wild card spot. Francona needs to help the city of Philadelphia out a little bit that last weekend.
Oh, look who's coming to be a Cincinnati guy.
Yeah, well, listen, man. I will issue if the Reds end up being the reason the Phillies get the top seed, I will issue a formal apology to the city of Cincinnati. And maybe, just maybe, I'll eat Skyline chili. Actually, screw it. They end up at the top seed. This is where I'm going with this. It doesn't feel likely. So because it doesn't feel that likely, Phillies end up with the top seed and the Reds have something to do with it, I'll eat Skyline chili.
All right. Brandon, you heard that. Clip it in the back.
All right, so that's a 3-game set to end things. The Phillies the rest of the way. The game against the Mets tonight, which if we win that, you're 2 back because the Brewers not in action tonight. 3 against Kansas City, 3 against the Dodgers, and then it's Arizona, Miami, Minnesota. I mean, that's a very winnable last 9 games of the season where you're putting yourself in a position where you could rack up the wins there. You need the Cardinals to help you. I feel like I'm calling on all of the cities that I despise. I see 6 games against the Cardinals for the Brewers, and I'm calling on St. Louis, of all places, to help me out here. And then I'm calling on Cincinnati to help me out at the end of the season. This is the most unusual alliances I've ever formed. All this to say, I feel it's highly unlikely that they secure that top spot. Just being 2.5 back, not having the tiebreaker. But I'm telling you there's a chance, just like Jason Stark's telling you there's a chance, The Phillies right now, I talked about how this was a very, very pivotal 10-game stretch to get that second seed, have that bye. You need that bye now, given Trey Turner's health. They've won 3 games already in this 10-game stretch. 3 of 3 so far. The 7 that remain in this 10-game stretch, Mets, Royals, Dodgers. They've already won 3. They've got 3 in the bank in this really, really pivotal 10-game stretch. They still need to go out there to L.A., probably take 2 or 3 to just fend off the Dodgers and any chance of them losing the bye. But, man, oh, man, what a week so far for that Phillies team. And what a week it was last week for the linebackers of the Eagles. Coming up, switch gears a little bit. You can still get in the Phillies conversation at 610-632-0975. I'm just going to put this out there. I'm not even asking the question which postseason path you would prefer. The one that avoids the potential Dodgers-Mets 3-6 is the one that I'll still take. Cubs and Padres, both of them been fading. I think you could take advantage of the Cubs pitching. I think certainly you can take care of the fact that Pivetta is likely going to be the first starter for the Padres is hysterical. He's had a good season, but he's had a good run really since the Phillies in the league. I think you could take both those teams. I would feel comfortable on that side of the bracket. So I want the 1 seed. I don't think it's likely, but I want it. So the Eagles now, coming up, linebacker being the hallmark of this defense. One thing I don't think we've showered enough praise on this defense for over the first week is that linebacker play and what it means for this team moving forward. Who we give it credit to for the evolution of this franchise that I'm talking about, linebackers. Plus, coming up a little bit later on, A.J. Brown speaks on the passing game. All that coming up here on the Midday Show. I'm Ray Dunn, 97.5 The Fanatic.
A Chiefs offense without Rashee Rice and without Xavier Worthy, I mean, now you're down to, I get it, Travis Kelce's still a guy who can make some plays, and Marquise Brown had 10 catches for 99 yards. When has ever a Chiefs receiver caught 10 passes and not even had 100 yards? So I think that's and this is a Chiefs team that was really trying this preseason and going into this year to try to get back to being a vertical offense. They really haven't had that. So, I mean, without those 2 guys, if Marquise Brown, who's not a bad receiver, but certainly not, not a guy that you like CeeDee Lamb, right? If that's their number 1 target out there, I think the secondary is not going to be, scared to death. So as long as you get a good pass rush and don't give Mahomes time to pick you apart and, find guys in the zone like Kelce or Marquise Brown, then they should be all right. So I would say the pass rush it's got to be on them to get the job done. I think, obviously, if you're going to have that kind of game plan where everything is very short and fast and quick, you have to be decisive, and Jaylen Hurts was. I know he had 4 incompletions, but 3 of them were on throwaway. So I think really only one, and one was a drop, if I'm not mistaken. I think there was only 1 ball Jaylen Hurts threw that hit the ground that was, say, his fault. So that's pretty good. He was very, very efficient. I would expect that was a little bit of an anomaly, and that you will see that more, especially because the Chiefs are a little bit more aggressive defensively.
All right. Temporary truce is what it is. It's a temporary truce between me and Cincinnati. Just know it'll be war if you take Kyle Schwarber from me, but for right now, you're good in my book. Hi, I'm Ray Dunn here on the Midday Show, 97.5 The Fanatic. Reds could be the key to the Phillies getting that top spot, depending on where we're at that last weekend of the season. If they are, Skyline Chili will be consumed. Okay? I am not looking forward to that digital content that we put together. I don't know where you even get Skyline Chili around here. That's a question for you out there. Is there anywhere to get it around here, or do I have to go back to Cincinnati?
Nah, I feel like you would have to have somebody make it for you.
Geez.
Go to the old TikTok or YouTube. What's the best Skyline Chili recipe? Make it right here at the station and then call it a day.
There is a Skyline Chili. Oh, this is the actual brand. All right, find location. Philadelphia, PA. So I know they'll try and take me to that fake Philadelphia in Ohio.
We did have one text on it, though. Mike from Turnersville, while you're looking that up, said, Ray, I hope you're right about the Reds beating the Brewers. I would try the Skyline Chili. I recommend a 4-way with beans and a couple of cheese coonies. I don't know what that means, but
I don't know what I've gotten myself into.
Can I give you some advice? Don't drink any alcohol.
No, God, no.
After you eat that. You need to cleanse your system out for
I don't
probably
think I'm going to go
12 hours.
outside. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to leave my home for a considerable amount of time after I eat that.
Roommates are not going to be pleased with you.
No. I share a bathroom. So that's going to be bad. Oh, gross. Gosh, you know what else was gross? The Eagles linebacker situation back in 2023. And that's how we segue back to the Eagles conversation that we're about to have here. Because I was reading The Athletic this morning. As you know, I put together, I've explained this now. I've given you the visual a number of times if you listen to me. I got a little cup of coffee going, got the show sheet in front of me. I'm sitting there, I'm reading The Athletic, Inquirer, ESPN, Ringer, you name it. I got the publications out in front of me. I'm trying, I'm scavenging for all different angles for what's going on in this sports world. And it's funny, I'm reading this story in The Athletic, and it's just like what linebacker play did for the Eagles in Week 1. And we've talked a number of things about that Week 1 game. We've obviously talked defensively, the concerns, edge rusher, secondary. Jaylen Carter has been kind of the dominating defensive conversation because we waited for 3 years to find out what would happen with regard to Spitgate. And he ended up not being suspended for the Chiefs game. And a lot of the defensive context has all surrounded about not having him. What did it not do for you? Did it lead to the struggles? Defense, obviously, in the second half stepped its way up after that weather delay, and with the offense slowing down for the Eagles as well. Some questions about how real that was. But defensively, the one thing you definitely can take away from that first game, you don't win it without the linebacker play you got. Zach Bond running down Miles Sanders and running him down to the point where he tried to punch the ball out, not once, but twice. Might have gave him 10 extra yards. You know how honestly arrogant you have to be about your ability to catch a guy to try and punch the ball out not once but twice inside your own 20? The arrogance, the sheer cockiness of Zach Bond in that moment to be like, oh, I'm going to try and force the turnover. Nope, didn't get it. All right, I'm going to try and force the turnover again. Nope, didn't get it. All right, now I'll tackle him. Like, yeah, that guy's not running away from me. And then later on, it's Campbell that combines with Byron Young to force that fumble. That's the difference right there. Cowboys don't score again. Campbell had a nice play over the middle, and I went and looked because this was something we talked about, and this goes back kind of to our original point of like the non-game related factors. For the longest time, Eagles linebackers, well, what is, there's just a surrounding, like around this organization, there's a surrounding energy of like the linebackers here. We haven't had good linebacker play consistently for a long time. On the other side, the Cowboys tight end is usually a talking point in those matchups because usually the Cowboys tight end could burn you no matter who it is. This time it's Jake Ferguson. Over the last 2 seasons, Ferguson has not gone over 30 yards against the Eagles in all 3 of the matchups. He was held 6 for 23 in terms of receptions and yards this game last week. There was the big play over the middle that Campbell deflected that made, was able to get that pass breakup, which for a rookie, tremendous move by him there. And Ferguson was, again, limited in what he was able to do for you. Now, Travis Kelce is, a level above. I understand he's older. I understand a lot of you have got sick of him because you don't care to hear about his love life every single day. And to those of you, relax a little bit. But I understand. He's still a very talented player. And it will be key for how this team deals with him, both linebacker-wise and maybe DeJean, because they are just so wide receiver devoid right now due to injuries in Kansas City. But the linebacker play in week one is one of the driving forces of why you won that I don't think we've talked nearly enough about. 2 is a credit to the evolution of Howie Roseman in paying Zach Baun, because you remember, as soon as we got to the offseason, all right, what does he have to do? They can't let Baun walk, especially after the Nakobe Dean injury. But following the Nakobe Dean injury, now a credit to one, Vic Fangio, and again to Zach Baun. And I think maybe I'm having this segment because I feel like I have to apologize over and over again for the fact that we heard Fangio at the beginning of OTAs leading into the 2024 season, and the first off-ball linebacker he mentioned was Zach Baun. I remember my immediate reaction being, Zach Baun? You mean the rotational edge rusher that you guys got from the Saints? That's the guy that you're thinking is going to save this linebacker room? And he did it a season ago at an all-pro level. And then this year, without Dean, they're like, all right, you're now the Mike linebacker. We're going to give you a new set of responsibilities, and we're going to give Jahad Campbell your old role. See how it goes. At week 1, there were plenty of issues on that defense. I did not have issue with the linebackers on that defense. And it's a credit to, 1, Zach Baun's just unwavering ability to get better, like just incredible demeanor to get better. 2, credit to Vic Fangio and just the way he is able to coach up linebackers and get them to the next level, turning Jahad Campbell, who again, all right, well, what's he going to be at this level? Well, week 1, one of the highest rated linebackers in all the sport. Forced a big crucial fumble. Looked pretty good out there. Big pass breakup. Zach Baun, again, running down Miles Sanders. The linebacker play for this Eagles defense might just be the best part about it, which is something you would never tell yourself in seasons prior. And it's one of the driving forces of why this weekend you can wreak havoc against the Chiefs. Because you have control over that middle of the field. And you have 2 game wreckers right now at linebacker, much like you had a season ago, which is tremendously, tremendously impressive. It's just like something that we need to point out about this defense. And maybe one of the calming points of a defense that we have a lot of question marks about the defensive backfield and the defensive front. Because those 2 guys, upon further review, we have not given nearly enough credit to what the linebacker room did in that game. Now, something we've talked plenty about is that passing game. A.J. Brown was asked about it. He didn't want to talk about it. Or maybe he wanted to talk about it, but didn't want to talk about how he talked about it later on in the week. I'll explain to you coming up. This is Middays. I'm Ray Dunn, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
I'm Austin Jones with your Fanatic Sports Update. This update is brought to you by Groundworks, your trained and certified experts for basement waterproofing and foundation repairs since 1997. Book your free inspection at groundworks.com. The Phillies have won their series against the Mets, taking 3 out of 4 as they won 11-3 last night and have a 10-game lead in the NL East. Max Kepler had a 5 RBI night, and Bryce Harper hit his 25th home run on the season. Kepler spoke about getting the series win post-game after beating the Mets.
Big accomplishment. We grinded over in New York, and we're unhappy with what we did there. So to win a series and hopefully get a sweep tomorrow is all you can ask for on the team in here right now.
Jesus Luzardo is on the mound tonight as first pitch is set for 7:15. The game will be on Fox. The Eagles return to the practice field, but they did so without Dallas Goedert, who missed practice with a knee injury. Landon Dickerson and Jalen Hunt were both limited. This update is also brought to you by Electrical Workers Local 269 and the Electrical Training Alliance, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Local 269, NACA, and the Electrical Training Alliance can offer a career with no college debt. To learn more, go to IBE269.com. I'm Austin Jones, your home of the best Birch coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
All right, so Shefty, obviously the big news yesterday, we finally got the official statement by the league that Jaylen Carter will not be suspended for Week 2 against the Kansas City Chiefs. Give us as much information as you have on it. Was it definitely just because he almost missed the entire first game against the Cowboys? Did Lamar Jackson's actions have anything to do with him not being suspended? Give us as much information as you have on Jaylen Carter and his status for Week 2.
Well, I think that when you look at precedent, there was no precedent for a player, I think, missing a full game and then being suspended for another game for spitting. I think we start with that. Now, I think part of the question was Troy Vincent had told executives, GMs, coaches at the owners' meetings in the spring that there would be a zero-tolerance policy for sportsmanship issues. And this clearly was a sportsmanship issue. It was a sportsmanship issue, no doubt about it. But ultimately, the league decided that because he missed that entire game, that was the time that he would serve. They fined him one game check. Again, he makes just over $1 million in a year. And I don't care who you are and what you're making, for anybody to get hit with a fine of $57,222, that's a blow to the wallet for anybody, especially, somebody in his position, a young guy just starting out. And so the league gives him the fine. It suspends him, which I have not seen that before, where it says we're making the suspension retroactive to last week. Like that I have not seen phrased before, and I think what they're doing there is they're just framing it and setting it up so that if there are sportsmanship / spitting / conduct issues in a game that a player plays, that the league will reserve the right to suspend that player for a game. So I think that's why they phrased it the way they did. But Jaylen Carter, because he didn't play last week, he will now get to play on Sunday against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Closing in on the 11 o'clock hour here on 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN HD1, Burlington, Philadelphia, Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. I'm Ray Dunn, hanging out with you. And YouTube chat's trying to encourage me on the Skyline Chili. I can't. This is only if they get the top spot. I was out there in Cincinnati 2 weeks ago. I was out there for Union FC Cincinnati, big 3 points. Looking forward to this weekend against Vancouver. And I saw all the Skyline Chili. I think they had it at Great American Ballpark, like a number of different places. And I was like, I can't do it. Especially not at the ballpark. I was like, no. I'm having a cold one and enjoying the game. But I was like, I can't. Also, the day of the game. Imagine broadcasting soccer You think like there's no commercial breaks. Your commercial breaks are halftime, and then you're doing the halftime show, and then your commercial is the postgame, and then you're doing the postgame show. Once you go on the air at 7:30, you really don't leave. Like, I do not leave that booth at all. So I was like, there is no chance I'm having Skyline Chili the day of a broadcast or the night before. That just all feels risky. I'm sorry. I look at it, I'm like, oh, gosh, my stomach just turns. But the Reds helped the Phillies out that last weekend of the season, helped the Phillies get the top seed in the NL. I'll eat the Skyline Chili. I promise. I still don't know where we're going to get. There's canned Skyline Chili.
No.
Not going anywhere near canned Skyline Chili.
That's just asking for foul play.
Yeah. Ooh, gosh. All right. So just got into the credit that the Eagles deserve in terms of the linebacker position, but also looking at the other side of the football, the passing game. A.J. Brown spoke yesterday at his locker following practice. And there's a lot I want to dive into with this because the passing game has obviously been a big point of conversation. I want you to hear full context because I know how this goes. When we start talking about A.J. Brown and we start to get critical, it's always, well, you're taking him out of context. I don't want to take anything out of context. So we got the questions lined up for you. We got the whole shebang in terms of him being asked about the passing game and also about the blocking abilities of the passing game. So I want to play it for you, and then I'll react to it with you. Here's A.J. Brown at his locker yesterday.
When you guys did your self-scout from Thursday's game, what did you learn about the passing game and what kind of adjustments do you think you'd like to see going forward?
I'm not answering. That's a setup question. I'm not answering that. I'm going to be honest about it. I'm not answering that. But I'm going to focus on myself, like my effort and what I do. And so I'm not mad at you, but I'm not answering that.
Were you asked about blocking and, the way the team recognized you for the performance? Can you kind of talk about that and what that meant to you to be recognized for that?
Oh, I didn't like it. I'm not, honestly. I mean, it's cool to make an example out of it, but I'm not in it for participation trophies. I'm cool. I'm cool on that.
All right. So you heard the full thing there. That's the full back and forth. He was asked after they self-scouted the passing game, what were his takeaways? What do you think about the passing game from week one? He said, that's a setup question. I'm not answering it. That's a setup question. A.J. Brown will remind you that while at Ole Miss, he was a journalism major. He majored in media while he was there. And he has mentioned that a number of times when he's had back and forth with the media and with journalists, radio hosts, whomever, that the narrative that's discussed with him can be unfair at times. And I do think at times people go overboard in talking about A.J. Brown. In this instance, I don't think it's a setup question to ask the wide receiver, one of the top wide receivers in football at that, to ask him about only getting his first target in that fourth quarter. About the production level of he and Devontae Smith, one of, if not the best duos in football at the wide receiver position, to be under 5 targets in a game. I don't think that's a setup question. I think that's simply doing your job in asking that question. Now, you could choose not to answer it. I don't think he's being set up there. I also think him not answering it and saying it's a setup question is a worse answer than 95% of the answers that he could give. There is the 5%. There is absolutely the answer where he's like, this passing game stinks. I can't believe we do this. That obviously this would have been 10 o'clock as soon as we started. Yeah, we'll get to the Phillies later. Can you believe what A.J. Brown said about the passing game? So at least it wasn't one of those 5% answers. But there is an answer where A.J. Brown could just be like, week one, trying to work some things out. Ball didn't come my way. I want the ball in my hands. And I understand. Well, is that what you want him to say? He's going to answer the way he wants to answer. I got you. But it's not a setup question. And the answer of saying you're looking for something to talk about only gives us more to talk about because why don't you want to talk about the passing game? It's a very easy answer for all of us that watch the game. Well, not all of us because people will jump to a lot of different conclusions. Very easy answer for me watching the game. Okay? In the flow of the game, they didn't get to him early. Going back, watching it back, a lot of people grind the tape saying, hey, Cowboys were in zone the entire time. They were shading to A.J. Brown's side. They were trying to take him away. They were able to successfully take him away. And maybe there was 3 or 4 plays in there that Hurts could have forced it to him. He didn't. By the time that you got to halftime, you were playing a close game, and you were going to try to go with the game plan last year that won, of being very conservative, trying to take time off the clock, and that didn't include forcing passes into a zone to your top receiver. That's not a sufficient answer to A.J. Brown, because A.J. doesn't want to believe that he's out of any game. You heard him talk about the blocking. I don't really care for the blocking shout-out. I'm not here for participation trophies. That I don't necessarily have a problem with. You're a wide receiver. As long as you do your job of blocking for the running back, I don't care if you don't like that part of your job. Anyone in any walk of life can agree. When you go through duties assigned to the job that you work, from 1 to 15, you don't love all of them. You have to do them, but you don't love everything that's assigned to do to you. You don't love it. Just like I'm okay if a wide receiver doesn't love the fact that they have to block for running back, because it means that really you're just out there participating in the play's not running through you. So long as you do it. There are things, that personally, duties as assigned in the job I do, yeah. 1 or 2 of them, I could say, yeah, I'd be good without that. Leave that aside. I don't really want it to. But if I don't do it, guess where I'm going to end up? Mike Vito's going to walk in here, say, hey, you need to come into the office. Scott's going to come in and say, hey, we need to talk. Or I'm going to get a phone call at 2 o'clock. Hey, we need to talk about this. That's how this works. That's how any professional setting works. You have to execute everything under the job description. Blocking is a part of the job description. It's a part of it certainly in this offense. I'm okay if A.J. Brown feels like that's a participation part of his job. I'm okay if it's not something that thrills him. I know when everyone talks about, wow, those, and it's a big, I think, color commentator thing during Eagles games where they're like, yeah, these wide receivers, they've signed up for this thing. They're really all about blocking. Yeah, they've signed up for it because they enjoy the fact that they win. But it's a part of the job description that I imagine if you said, hey, man, you never have to block again for running back, we're just going to throw you the football, he would take that. Right? I mean, I think that's pretty much status quo for wide receivers and for people in their own professional lives. So that part of the equation I don't have a problem with. Going to the passing game conversation, I don't necessarily need to beg him to give me a PR answer. The way that I feel like I've done a few times already this week, where you had Sirianni was asked, do you think Jaylen Carter learned anything? And he's like, he just was reluctant to say yes. Like, that was an easy layup of like, yes, they're going to follow up with, okay, what do you think you learned from this? And then, hey, I'm going to keep those conversations in-house. But, hey, Nick Sirianni thinks he learned his lesson. You dodging it leads to more questioning. Vic Fangio was handed the softball of all softballs earlier this week with Jaylen Carter asking about his leadership. And he didn't give you the, there's stuff behind the scenes. That's fine. I don't need you to lie to me and give me the PR answer. But when you don't give me the PR answer, it gives me my own way to interpret the way that you're answering things. And for A.J. Brown, when you say this is a setup question asking about the passing game, that's you giving us the implication that there was something wrong with the passing game that you feel wrong about. Now, first level of that is he just was upset he didn't get any targets. Second level of that, of course, gets into the Carolina Panthers week last year leading up to the Steelers game. And which leads to my hope is by the time we come here Monday and we react to this game, and Amy Fadul's sitting right there, and we're having the back and forth about what happened with the game, that we're talking about, wow, Amy, can you believe they just kept throwing the ball over there to A.J. Brown as much as they did, and he had the game that he had, and we wasted all that time last week talking about the passing game, talking about it. But the way that you answer that question leaves a lot for interpretation about your disappointment with the passing game. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that I think A.J. Brown is acting like a diva. I'm not sitting here saying that I think A.J. Brown is necessarily wrong in the way he feels about the way the game went, because in his world, he wants to be a driving force why they win games. We know that. That's a wide receiver's mentality. I prefer the athlete that has that mentality. You should want the success of your organization to run somewhat through you. That's not a problem. Again, any walk of life. But when you answer it that way, you also leave the interpretation of, okay, what does he mean by that? Instead of giving us, hey, it's week 1. A lot of things we're working through. We look back at it. Obviously, I want to be more involved in the offense. There's plenty that you could take from that. I don't necessarily need you to lie to me, but when you don't lie to me, you give me the opportunity to say, okay, what exactly do you mean by that? So, Austin, if you could, give me that one more time.
When you guys did your self-scout from Thursday's game, what did you learn about the passing game, and what kind of adjustments do you think you'd like to see going forward?
I'm not answering. That's a setup question. I'm not answering that. I'm going to be honest about it. I'm not answering that. But I'm going to focus on myself, like my effort and what I do. And so I'm not mad at you, but I'm not answering
Were you asked about blocking and, the way the team recognized you for the performance? Can you kind of talk about that and what that meant to you to be recognized for that?
Oh, I didn't like it. I'm not, honestly. I mean, it's cool to make an example out of it, but I'm not in it for participation trophies. I'm cool. I'm cool on that.
I am not at all bothered by him saying that blocking is a participation trophy. Because to him, that's probably the way it feels. Again, not everything that goes through your job checklist are you thrilled to do every single day. And if you are, congrats. You live a blessed life. Congratulations on your success in whatever you do. I would say for 95% of the population, more than that, 97, 98% of the population, everything in your job description is not something that you're like thrilled to do every time. But you do it because it's part of your job. A.J. Brown, the wide receiver position. The one thing I will say from this is the way he answers that, being silent there for a couple seconds, trying to think about it, and then saying, you know what, that's a setup question. A.J. will tell you he was a journalism major. So being the journalism major, you should know that the question was going to be asked about the passing game. Having a PR staff, you know that the question is going to be asked about the passing game. If your answer is that's a setup question, and I'm just going to focus on me, you leave a lot up to interpretation. And that's more where I sit here and say, okay, I wasn't too bothered by the passing game. I thought that they were risk averse. I thought that Jaylen made the reads he needed to. They got out of there with a W. Top wide receiver doesn't echo those sentiments for reasons that, of course, fit what he wants, which is the football in his hands, and he should want the ball in his hands. But also, we've had this conversation one too many times for me to sit here and give you the benefit of the doubt of, I don't know what I'm saying in this instance, or I misspoke in this instance. You've been asked about this before. You've known this to be a conversation before, and you stepping away from that question at least opens up the mind of, hey, what's wrong inside there? That's all I'm saying. I want to be fair to A.J. Brown in that sense, but listening to that, a little uneasy, personally, when it comes to that. I don't love the way that sounds. I don't love the idea inside of that passing game with the way he answered. And maybe he's in a no-win situation, and maybe it is unfair to him. But listening to it, that's the way I reacted. How'd you react to hearing what A.J. Brown had to say about the passing game? You get in on that 610-632-0975. Coming up, want to get back to the Phillies conversation. The Cy Young that won't be awarded. We tried to champion it, and then it fell apart real quickly in terms of trying to champion that. And also some audio from Adam Silver. Man, what are you doing? Stop talking. What? I'll react to it when we get to it. I'm Ray Dunn. Take you through middays here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
All right, so Shefty, obviously the big news yesterday, we finally got the official statement by the league that Jaylen Carter will not be suspended for Week 2 against the Kansas City Chiefs. Give us as much information as you have on it. Was it definitely just because he almost missed the entire first game against the Cowboys? Did Lamar Jackson's actions have anything to do with him not being suspended? Give us as much information as you have on Jaylen Carter and his status for Week 2.
Well, I think that when you look at precedent, there was no precedent for a player, I think, missing a full game and then being suspended for another game for spitting. I think we start with that. Now, I think part of the question was Troy Vincent had told executives, GMs, coaches at the owners' meetings in the spring that there would be a zero-tolerance policy for sportsmanship issues. And this clearly was a sportsmanship issue. It was a sportsmanship issue, no doubt about it. But ultimately, the league decided that because he missed that entire game, that was the time that he would serve They fined him one game check. Again, he makes just over $1 million in a year. And I don't care who you are and what you're making. For anybody to get hit with a fine of $57,222, that's a blow to the wallet for anybody, especially, somebody in his position, a young guy just starting out. And so the league gives him the fine. It's suspension, which I have not seen that before, where it says we're making the suspension retroactive to last week. Like that I have not seen phrased before, and I think what they're doing there is they're just framing it and setting it up so that if there are sportsmanship / spitting / conduct issues in a game that a player plays, that the league will reserve the right to suspend that player for a game. So I think that's why they phrased it the way they did. But Jaylen Carter, because he didn't play last week, he will now get to play on Sunday against the Kansas City Chiefs.
You threw it. Talk a little birds in the last segment. A.J. Brown and what he had to say about the passing game at his locker yesterday. He's asked about what he saw on tape, the self-scout, what he thought about it. Said he wasn't going to answer it, called it a setup question. And they followed up with a question about blocking. And he said that blocking was a participation trophy-like thing. He's not in the business for those. He appreciates the shout-out, but he's not going to get to it. He's not really thrilled with it. He's not happy with it. He doesn't like getting the shout-out for his blocking, which makes sense. He's a receiver. Wants to get shout-out for the work he does catching the football. And no one would argue after week one the ball needs to go to him more. Or no one would argue against the fact that the ball needs to go to him more. They say a lot of people would argue the ball needs to go to A.J. Brown after week one. But Stan from Drexel Hill wanted to jump in on this at 610-632-0975. Stan, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, what's going on, man? How you doing today?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Yeah, you know, I gotta be honest, man. It did nothing for me. Like, I got nothing. Like, I don't lean one way or the other. I genuinely don't care, and I wonder if it's really just because I'm like, I still have a Super Bowl hangover, and I'm like,
Maybe.
This is not a problem to me until it's a problem.
So
I think it's like it's one of those things where if you feel like things are fine, then you don't go looking for something. If that makes sense.
Here's what I'll say to you, Stan. There's a reason why this was brought up at 10:55 and the reason this didn't lead the show. I obviously don't think something's massively wrong behind the scenes. I think the Super Bowl good feelings, I think the video from, what was it, America's Game, or that might have been before, of Jaylen and AJ on the sideline, I still very much believe that to be the case. I'm not trying to insinuate that there's a fracture there. I'm just saying that in terms of shutting down the conversation about the passing game, I think you could have gotten more from your wide receiver right there.
Oh, for sure. And so if the argument is, could he have answered it differently or in a better way to calm any possible fires, then yeah, that's fair. But if I'm just looking at it from what was said and how I'm feeling about it, like to me, I think this is a week one thing. It's kind of like when Devontae Smith had a rough week one against Detroit a couple years ago, and they're like, oh yeah, we got to make a more effort to get him involved and everything. And AJ's AJ. If this lingers where it's like, okay, now we're going into week 6 and AJ's only had a combined 6 targets, and then now we're having a conversation. But right now, it's not anything that's even on my radar.
Right, okay, that's fair. And I would say the one thing that puts it on my radar is because if he had this reaction after 2 weeks, after 3 weeks, where we're talking consistently about the passing game, and he's like, listen, I'm not going to get into this. This is a setup. Then I would say, okay, there's something more behind the scenes here. Since it's only 1 week, I'm not, freaking out about it. But I think this was a very early answer for him to be like, hey, that's a setup question, instead of just being like, hey, it's football, it was week 1. And maybe I'm expecting too much of something that's not A.J. Brown.
No, I think also you got to take the person into account, because this is a person who people did question. And, of course, you had BG going on things last year talking about him and Jaylen had a fractured relationship. So he might just feel a little guarded now, where everything he says is going to be put under a microscope. So instead I'm going to find the best way to not throw anything. But, it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't.
I got you. And I said that kind of at the end of that segment right there, Stan.
You did say that. I agree with you.
I appreciate you checking in. Always good to catch up with Stan. That to me is kind of the world that he exists in, which is, again, why this wasn't 10 o'clock. I'm jumping in because I don't necessarily love I'm going to create this superstar player to be a villain to you, because I don't think he really fits that role. And I don't think that that's necessarily how I feel about this situation. I just heard it yesterday. Well, I read it, and then I went and listened to it. And as I listened to it, that pause there, I was like, okay, that's a pretty long pause there. Nice little pregnant pause for you. Like, all right, he's not answering it. And then he says you're being set up. And it's a question that has to be asked. And I would imagine that knowing how your game went, you would know that question's coming. So that's when he answers it like that's a setup. I don't want to get into that. He didn't lie to me. And I respect him for that. But in his way of not lying to me, he makes me question what the truth is. And that's more where, when I listen to this, it's not that it's a problem, but it's something that's on my radar at this point. We got some text on this, Austin?
Yeah, so this is from Mike. He said, I'm proud of AJ's answer just because he didn't engage. He was nice and polite, plus he saw the potential for him to be pigeonholed into a negative answer via the question that was asked. Kudos to AJ. Why turn this anthill into a mountain?
And that's the thing. We don't need to turn this into a mountain. But everyone, and I saw this was, I think JM was the one that was that said this. Like, they're trying to get him to assign blame. I'm curious for the people that see this as him being set up, is would you prefer them not ask the question? Would you prefer that after a game like that the people inside the locker room not ask about the passing game to A.J. Brown? Because I think that would be a disservice to myself, to you, and to really anyone that follows football. I mean, that's a question that has to be asked. So I'm curious to you, why do we assume that his answer would have to be negative? His answer could simply be, it's the flow of the game. I obviously thought there were opportunities that we could take advantage of. I know that we're going to be able to take advantage of them going into the future. You guys know me. You know I want the football. That's how I'm wired. I want to see this team win, but you know how much it drives me to be a part of the fact that we win football games. Get me the football. He doesn't have to give you a negative answer. You assume that we're all looking for a salacious answer. We could have sat here today and had the same segment at the same time talking about the fact, look what A.J. Brown said about the team. Just like I said, I gave credit earlier this week to Castellanos for the fact that he talked to Scott Lauber and was talking about how he's cool with the platoon. He is obviously not happy with his playing time, but he's giving the answers right now that don't cause problems with the team. That's kind of, again, it doesn't have to be fully truthful. And I respect you for not lying to me. But sometimes you give answers that are just answers for the team's behalf. I mentioned the Phillies there. We'll get to that coming up. Christopher Sanchez, another nice start. Does playing on a playoff team mean anything to you, man? Should it? It won't for the Cy Young, but been trying to vouch for it. Plus, I mentioned that Adam Silver audio. Ugh, dude, come on. I'm ready to take you through middays here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
I'm Austin Jones with your Fanatic Sports Update. This update is brought to you by Bradford White Water Heaters. When you need a new hot water heater, choose one that is built to be the best. Choose Bradford White. The Phillies won their series against the Mets last night 11-3, taking 3 out of 4 games so far. They hold 10-game lead in the NL East. Max Kepler had a big night with 5 RBIs, and Bryce Harper hit his 25th home run on the season. Jesus Luzardo is on the mound tonight. First pitch is set for 7:15. The game will be on Fox. The Eagles returned to the practice field yesterday, but they did so without Dallas Goedert, as he missed practice with a knee injury. Landon Dickerson and Jalen Hunt were both limited. This is going to be the 5th straight year the Eagles played the Chiefs, and Jaylen Hurts spoke to the media yesterday about facing their defensive coordinator, Steve Spagnuolo.
You have all those things to have for reference while understanding that the game changes and the game evolves and teams change. And so, overall, you're dealing with someone that is very high IQ of the game of football, and he calls it that way, and he coaches it that way. And that's something that jumps out on the tape.
This update is brought to you by Discover. Do you know what's accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide? If you guessed Discover, you guessed right, based on the February 2024 Nielsen report. I'm Austin Jones, your home of the best birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
A Chiefs offense without Rashee Rice and without Xavier Worthy, I mean, now you're down to, I get it, Travis Kelce is still a guy who can make some plays, and Marquise Brown had 10 catches for 99 yards. When has ever a Chiefs receiver caught 10 passes and not even had 100 yards? So I think that's and this is a Chiefs team that was really trying this preseason and going into this year to try to get back to being a vertical offense. They really haven't had that. So, I mean, without those two guys, if Marquise Brown, who's not a bad receiver, but certainly not, not a guy that you like CeeDee Lamb, right? If that's their number one target out there, I think the secondary is not going to be, scared to death. So as long as you get a good pass rush and don't give Mahomes time to pick you apart and, find guys in the zone like Kelce or Marquise Brown, then they should be all right. So I would say the pass rush it's got to be on them to get the job done. I think, obviously, if you're going to have that kind of game plan where everything is very short and fast and quick, you have to be decisive, and Jaylen Hurts was. I know he had 4 incompletions, but 3 of them were on throwaway. So I think really only one, and one was a drop, if I'm not mistaken. I think there was only one ball Jaylen Hurts threw that hit the ground that was, say, his fault. So that's pretty good. He was very, very efficient. I would expect that was a little bit of an anomaly and that you will see that more especially because the Chiefs are a little bit more aggressive defensively.
Now the Eagles get ready for the Super Bowl rematch as it's all being, put out this week, that it's the Eagles and the Chiefs again. Now, we were talking this morning. We don't believe that it was 40-6 when the starters went out. We don't believe the two teams were that lopsided in talent against each other. But the beatdown on that day was very visible. To see Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes get taken out like that, what do you think they've got cooking for Sunday? And Steve Spagnuolo.
I think that it's going to be a tough challenge because, look, the Chiefs lost their first game, and they're 0-1. So they're the only team in that division, amazingly enough, after 1 week, that didn't win a game. I mean, it would be something if the Chiefs fell 0-2.
11 o'clock hour here on 97.5 The Fanatic. I'm Ray Dunn taking you through the midday show. Austin Jones producing the show, and sorry about that right there. Austin, I'm doing something very risky here, which is why right there I nearly ended up coughing on the air here.
Don't dial me on air.
No,
I don't know if there's a dump button for that.
Yeah, that probably. I mean, yeah, whatever. Right now I'm eyeing up my Piccadilly Inn.
Yes, great spot.
Which is out there in the kitchen. I think they were doing some stuff with Preston and Steve earlier today. And I'm doing something very risky right now. You see what I'm wearing?
Yeah.
I am wearing a white sweatshirt, which I'm a big fan of. I think it's my little mode of rebellion as a kid. It was like, I'm not going to buy you anything like white T-shirts or like the undershirts, but not like no white sweatshirt, no nice white shirt. Like,
oh, yeah.
You're too messy of a kid.
I mean, even when you have to do your games, like you're suited and booted, white dress shirt, even then I'm still like, oof. I got to watch what I eat, got to watch how I drink my coffee.
It makes for just an absolute pain at weddings, which is why I typically go blue.
Smart man.
That's just a little pro tip for the people at home there. But I always wear the white shirt for broadcast, most of the time, at least at this point. And now I'm wearing the white sweatshirt with the barbecue food. With the, I got a little boneless wing action going on here. I got some sort of barbecue sandwich. This is a dangerous, dangerous game.
You be careful.
Which leads me to the reason I was actually debating wearing this sweatshirt today, and now I'm feeling like this is going to come back to bite me and haunt me. But I'm staring down this food, and it's making me starving.
Now, you're not the guy that's like, you have the sweatshirt on with no shirt on underneath, right? Like, if you had to take it off, could you be able to
I think I have another white shirt on under this. So
you double down.
Yeah. But no, I am absolutely a guy that will wear the sweatshirt with no undershirt.
I can't do that. Can't get behind it.
It's a nice little air action, a little freeing, Gives you a little bit of room to breathe. Why dirty two things when you only dirty one thing? Come on. Simple math. I had a great debate with Tom Alvord. Had to have been like 2 years ago now. Where it literally turned into like the last 2 hours of an evening show. Where it was just, do you wear a shirt underneath your sweatshirt? Because I came in that night without a shirt underneath my sweatshirt. And he thought I was the craziest thing in the world. I was like, it's not that weird. It's normal. It is. It's a very normal thing to do. Especially right now, little warm out to do it. But today, walking outside, a little bit of a chill in the air, I went with the shirt underneath. If it's like 70 and I want to wear a sweatshirt, Hell no, I'm not putting a shirt underneath that. Because then you got more layers on you. You're sweating. Feel gross.
Hey, man, you do you. I can't get behind it. But I will sit here and I will produce the rest of your show.
I appreciate you doing that. I appreciate you battling through to put through this. Now, I want to quickly address the Christopher Sanchez thing because I know I'm not going to end up winning this war. I'm sorry. I tried. I could have tried harder, honestly. I'll admit to all of you out there, I could have fought this agenda war a lot harder. Ultimately, I was not going to win. The NL Cy Young will be awarded to Paul Skeens. That's just where this is all headed. Save like 3 of the worst starts of all time by him. It's going to him. And good for him. Christopher Sanchez has put together a Cy Young capable season. And he has stepped up in the absence of Zach Wheeler. He stepped up to the point of just, again, being that guy for this team. And his growth over the last couple of years has been tremendous in this organization. Is there at least a little consideration that should be given to Christopher Sanchez for the fact that he pitched on a team where it mattered? Like, if you go look at their baseball, like their WAR on Baseball Reference, Skeens 0.2 higher. His ERA is obviously sub 2. Sanchez is mid 2. So he's only 4 innings behind Sanchez. There's a lot of driving factors here. Skeens astoundingly got to 10 wins with that team. Sanchez is only at 13 with this team. But, like, should it matter a little bit that Sanchez became the ace for a team that's 2.5 games out of the top spot in the NL? Should we give a little consideration to that? Is it wrong for me to want a little consideration? Is it a little bit homer for me to want that consideration?
Not at all. Not at all. I think that's my one issue with Major League Baseball awards is that you can have a great season and your team make the postseason, but if there's someone that has a, quote, better year in terms of the media or the eyes of the media and their team doesn't make the postseason, they can still win their award. Like Mike Trout hasn't sniffed the playoffs in forever, and he's won how many MVPs?
That's fair. So, I mean, it shouldn't, and it won't.
It's frustrating. I feel you.
Or it doesn't, and it won't, but maybe it should matter a little bit. The idea is to award the best pitcher. They're going to award the best pitcher. So if I had to cast a vote for it, let's be honest, I would cast the vote for Skeens. But there is a little part of me that's hurt because it's like, all right, yeah, Skeens did all that for what? But it would have to be closer for me to bring this into a consideration. It just little twinge of things that bother me. Speaking of things that bother me, while we're on this segment, I assume you saw this before this morning. The Adam Silver. So this was making its rounds on the old Bird app. Adam Silver, I guess he's doing like the preseason rounds where he's talking. I don't know what he was talking. I'll be honest with you. I saw it and I wanted to immediately eject it off my timeline. So as soon as he said it, I didn't go research where he said it. I just wanted it out of my brain. And I'm going to play it for you. Adam Silver talking about, you got all these different deals now, all these different places to watch games. Are you worried about pricing out people from watching NBA games? Here's what Silver had to say.
There's a huge amount of our content that people can essentially consume for free. I mean, this is very much a highlights-based sport. So Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, you name it, any service, the New York Times for that matter, to the extent your content is not behind a paid firewall. There's an enormous amount of content out there. YouTube, by another example, that is advertising based that consumers can consume.
The man just said, it doesn't matter. Just watch the highlights. That's the man running the sport. Where have we gotten? Where are we at? Why is this the way that it is?
The old Mark Jackson quote, "What happened to the game I loved?"
Yeah. Why? Why speak? I do love that. By the way, your content's behind a paywall. As if the NBA is struggling the same way that the content game is struggling. As if the media industry struggles are the same as the NBA struggles. He tries to turn that around. Like, newspaper journalist that asked me this, your stuff's behind a paywall. Why? It's like, pay $3.99 a month to get access to our reporter's work. Or pay $80-something a month to get access to the NBA games. Different paywalls. You had to pay in the past to be subscribed to the paper. That paper you're still paying to be subscribed to. Now it's gone up. It's inflated, but not quite the way that everything's gone up to watch your games. Try and spin that around on him. And on top of that, he then tells you it's cool. Yeah, just watch the highlights. Yeah, no, that's fine. It's cool. Like, he gets upset with the way his game's talked about and the way his game is not celebrated. And then he basically gives license for people not to watch his games and weigh in on his games. He gets upset with the way his game's talked about, but then does not advocate for his game to be watched in full. A lot of the lazy NBA talking points come from people who don't watch games in full. But he is encouraging you, hey, if you can't afford the games, that's fine. Go watch the highlights. Go watch the content that surrounds it. Don't watch the actual game. He is feeding the monster that he says he's against. And that was the biggest thing from listening to that. That was stupid from Adam Silver. That was annoying. Now here's to audio that I actually enjoyed. Coming up, Max Kepler after the game. Bit of a hard-on move. I think we all caught this. But I want to play it for you coming up. And we'll check in on the postseason paths for that bottom of the National League right now. And what could the Phillies do to the Mets tonight? And what could the Mets do to themselves over the next 2 weeks? Plus, that number 1 seed, we'll reset that conversation. I'm Ray Dunn. Take you through the Midday Show here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Eagles get ready for the Super Bowl rematch as it's all being, put out this week. It's the Eagles and the Chiefs again. Now, we were talking this morning. We don't believe that it was 40-6 when the starters went out. We don't believe the two teams were that lopsided in talent against each other. But the beatdown on that day was very visible. To see Andy Reid and Mahomes get out like that, what do you think they've got cooking for Sunday? And Steve Spagnuolo.
I think that it's going to be a tough challenge because, look, the Chiefs lost their first game, and they're 0-1. So they're the only team in that division, amazingly enough, after 1 week that didn't win a game. I mean, it would be something if the Chiefs fell 0-2. 0-2. There's no way that they've ever started 0-2 under Mahomes. No way. So that to me is one of the biggest challenges that the Eagles face is you know you're getting their A game this Sunday. Home opener for them, 0-1. Like you're gonna get their best game on Sunday.
Shefty, Zadarius Smith signs with the Eagles. Then they make the trade for Tank Bigsby. Was this something that you believe has been in the works for a while, or was this something to do with week 1?
Both were in the works for a while. Zadarius Smith they've been talking to for quite some time. I think that they were moving towards the deal, didn't get it done in time for the opener, and obviously then got it done shortly thereafter the next day. Tank Bigsby, the conversations with the Jaguars dated back to this summer. Initially, Tank Bigsby was supposed to be a part of that deal with Fred Johnson, the offensive tackle.
Interesting.
And there were some discussions, and Jacksonville, at the end, pulled him back from the trade. And they had agreed to 2 separate packages. One that was a solo Fred Johnson trade, another that was a Fred Johnson and Tank Bigsby trade together. In the end, ultimately at that time, Jacksonville decided it only wanted to part ways with Fred Johnson, but obviously the Eagles remained interested in Tank Bigsby, went back to the well, and finally were able to pry him loose for a 5 and a 6.
Welcome back into the Midday Show here on 97.5 The Fanatic. I'm Ray Dunn taking you through it. Austin Jones, producer of the program. And Austin, I just attacked that plate that I got from Pick Lillian.
But is the hoodie clean?
The hoodie is still clean, but I have another insecurity that I've realized. The beard has gotten to things get stuck here phase.
Yeah, I've been there. Well, I am there currently.
Yeah. I noticed it when I was eating a few days ago. I was like, oh, wow, yeah, this beard's got pretty thick. And it's more like the mustache portion.
Yes, always. You get the one strand of hair that like trickles down into the top of your lip.
Yeah, I'm just worried that they we come back on camera here and I don't have like a beard in front of me, so I don't know how I look. I'm like, maybe I should hide behind the microphone here.
Oh, you do have a mirror. You gotta use the camera on the phone.
Yeah, I could, but no. You see me going like this in here, you're going to be like, what is he doing?
Nah, listen, I am no man to judge. I'm in a studio by myself back here, and you see my head bob and weave all through the course back here.
I'm just curious how people deal with that, because I've tried now to be more conscious of the idea, like, hey, I'm at the beard thickness level of things sticking. I need to make sure that I'm not walking around carrying half a lunch,
Well, I mean, again, I've been in those shoes. I'm currently in those shoes now. A lot of people will say, hey, Jones. I'm like, what's up? They're like, you got a little something. I'm like, oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
Fair.
Now, if they let you go.
Yeah, that's bad friend. That's bad friend.
Yeah, it's a bad friend.
That's bad friend. All right. I mentioned earlier today that August 5th, I tweeted something out with regards to the Phillies. That Max Kepler, it was the stats for the Phillies outfielders at the time. And it was gross. It was actually very, very, very gross for him. And I want to make sure that I have this correct, because I had the DFA Kepler yesterday. Get Kepler off this team. DFA Kepler, please. Those were all the responses I was getting. So, not that my reaction was much different. Not that I was saying anything different at the time. I just put this out there August 5th. Phillies outfielders since May 1st. Castellanos had a 742 OPS at that time with 28 extra base hits. Marsh had a 792 OPS with 18 extra base hits. Bader, and this, of course, includes his time in Minnesota, had close to an 800 OPS with 21 extra base hits. Kepler, in that time, had a 597 OPS with 16 extra base hits in that time from May 1st to August 5th. So I was like, all right, feels like a good time to check back in on that over a month later. Harrison Bader, in the month since that tweet, just about a month, 975 OPS. Marsh, 966 OPS. Kepler, a 921 OPS. Castellanos, a 504. But those three guys, over 900 OPSs, shows you the production you've got from the outfield, which has been tremendous. And Max Kepler has rehabbed his Philadelphia perception in this platoon role. He has certainly taken... I mean, we had the conversation that week that I tweet out those stats about Kepler having the one-game post-trade deadline and, do you feel for athletes, when he gave that real thoughtful answer about the fact that he's been struggling. He has gone a long way since then. There was a portion of the fan base, let's be honest, you ladies out there, never stop loving the man. He's a good-looking dude. We'll give you credit for that, all right? There's a portion of this fan base who never lost faith in the man. I've heard it a number of times from a number of different women in my life. Hey, that Max Kepler guy, good-looking dude. They never stop believing him. Me personally, I watched those numbers from May 1st to August 5th. I stopped believing in him. Now, he's rehabbed his image. The perception's back there. This is him last night in what was one of the funniest things. He gets a base hit last night. He goes up the first base line, just cracks the bat over his leg. It's like, oh, man, you did the right thing. You got a base hit. Why did you do that? Destiny Legardo of Phillies Nation asked him the question. Here's his response.
Did you break your bat after the second hit? Like, you went like...
Yeah, that was a hardo moment. To me, I've never personally broken a bat that is not unbroken. It's just the ones that kind of crack, and it's a good feeling to smash one over your leg from time to time. But yeah, that's definitely not me, and I'm not a hardo. It's just, in the moment, I wanted to let that out and smash my bat over my thigh. Or my quad. I've done that once before, actually, also on a hit. But yeah, I don't know what got into me there. It's a harder moment.
Does it hurt?
No, actually it doesn't. In the moment, it does not hurt at all. I have tried smashing a whole bat, and that has hurt, and I did not succeed doing that. So I go for the broken ones.
Bo Jackson did that once.
Oh, yeah, over his head, right? Yeah. He's a different animal than I am.
This is the second time he's done it. He has experience breaking a bat after a base hit. And like he said, it's cracked a bit, so it's not like he's breaking a fully, healthy bat. It's a bat that's already broken that they're going to end up taking out of commission here. And he's just putting it pretty much just into into history by smashing it in half. I saw it last night. I'm like, what? What is he doing? Things are going so good that you're breaking your bat after another base hit for you. And it's, again, a testament to what they did in bringing in Bader and the outfield rotation, outfield platoon they've really bought into in the corners. Has allowed this to happen. But I'm sitting there, what in the world is this guy doing? What is wrong with this man? And even afterwards, you can hear him reflecting. I think he's kind of asking himself, what's wrong with me? What exactly is wrong with him? And nothing right now at the plate. He's doing great. I'm sitting there like, he's right. It's a hardo moment. He's like, yeah, it doesn't hurt that much. Oh, that's not me. That was you right there. What got into Max Kepler right there? Things are so good for you. You're like, yeah, I'm going to break this bat just because it's got a crack in it and I got a base hit with it. Is he upset that he's had such great times with that specific bat that when it comes to an end, he's got to smash it? I was like, what in the world? But that's the things you notice when your team's just rolling. And it's been fun to watch them roll. Their postseason path right now. We mentioned it earlier. I've declared a temporary truce with Cincinnati because at the end of the season, they get the Brewers for 3, and you're hoping you're within at least a game or so because you need the tiebreaker. You don't have the tiebreaker, so you need to beat them by a game. It's a long shot, but you're telling me there's a chance for the top seed. On the flip side, that Cincinnati team right now, 2 games out of the last wild card spot. The Giants yesterday, I watched second half of that game. I actually watched something that wasn't sports yesterday. We're going to get to that. Big for me. And it was a double M recommendation, too. It was big for me. They're 2 games out. The Giants could not capitalize against Diamondbacks. Still 2 games out after the Mets lost yesterday. Is there a world where the Mets fall out of this thing? Reds have the tiebreaker over them. I was talking about the Giants yesterday. Now the Reds have the tiebreaker over them. Is the free fall there for the Mets? I don't know. Do you want to see the free fall for the Mets? You know what happens out there in San Francisco? Cincinnati's got a good starting rotation. They could be concerning if you end up in that 2 seed and they end up knocking off the Dodgers. I'd like to see the Mets fall out because of the Mets. And I'll deal with the repercussions of that another time. But I'm curious for you at 610-632-0975 if you've given any thought to the bottom portion of this NL playoff race. Coming up, the NFL notes at noon. Plus, we'll get back to our text line, 610-632-0975. I'm Ray Dunn. Take you through the Midday Show right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now, on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
I'm Austin Jones with your Fanatic Sports Update. The Phillies won their series against the Mets as they won 11-3 last night. 3 out of the 4 games so far. They have a 10-game lead in the NL East. Max Kepler had 5 RBIs last night. Bryce Harper hit his 25th home run on the season. Jesus Luzardo's on the mound tonight. First pitch is set for 7:15. The game will be on Fox. The Eagles returned to the practice field, but they did so without Dallas Goedert as he missed practice with a knee injury. Landon Dickerson and Jalix Hunt were both limited. This is the 5th straight year the Eagles will play the Chiefs. Jaylen Hurts spoke about facing their defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo yesterday to the media, and this is what he had to say.
You have all those things to have for reference while understanding that the game changes and the game evolves and teams change. And so, overall, you're dealing with someone that is very high IQ of the game of football, and he calls it that way, and he coaches it that way. And that's something that jumps out on the tape.
This update is brought to you by Bet365. Football is back. Get ready for the season at Bet365. Whenever it comes to sportsbooks, Bet365 has it all. Download the app today and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. I'm Austin Jones, your home of the best sports coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
This is your wheelhouse, too. Offensive line. How do you think Tyler Steen looked as the starting right guard?
I mean, it's like he started all last year. He had a phenomenal game. He showed presence out there. He wasn't just in there filling in. He showed that I wanted a position. He was, very, very explosive out there. He put his hands on people. He was moving people. He looked like a day one starter, like he should have been there last year. I was totally impressed on Tyler Steen and how he approached this game. I mean, kudos to, Coach Stoutland making sure he's ready to play. And I tell you what, I had rave reviews for him all through the post game, the other night, and just the way he played. So big ups to him going out there and really showing and imposing his will on that offense as an offensive lineman.
How are teams kind of looking at the Phillies when it comes to playoff baseball?
Know how people here look at the Phillies, but I also get to hear how people on the outside look at them. And here's the phrase that GM-type figures in 2 front offices use to describe them to me just in the last few weeks. They both said, that's the best team we played all year. And these are 2 guys, their teams they both have winning records, so they're not just saying that. One of them said to me, when he looks at the Mets, he sees a team that isn't that different from his team or any of these teams in this pack. But when he looks at the Phillies, he sees a team that runs a starting pitcher out there every night, or just about every night, that's better than his team's pitcher and better than most teams' pitcher. And that's still true even without Zach Wheeler, which really opened my eyes. He said he told the other guys in his front office, he said, you know what, I think we've got a nice team. But when I look at that team, that's the varsity, and the rest of us are the JV. And the other thing is the numbers bear that out. The Phillies have won more series against teams with winning records than any other team in baseball.
this is your wheelhouse, too. Offensive line. How do you think Tyler Steen looked as the starting right guard?
I mean, it's like he started all last year. He had a phenomenal game. He showed presence out there.
And HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia, Beasley Media Group Station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. I'm Ray Dunn, taking it through the midday show. Here it is Austin Jones producing the program today. Going to get to the phone lines in a second on some Eagles conversation, but want to get to the text line before we get to the NFL notes at noon, coming up at noon in a few minutes here. Austin, what do we got on the text line?
Yeah, this is Norm from Mayfair. He said, Bader is just what we needed, everyday center fielder and providing the juice to the lineup. I predict that these dead Mets don't make the playoffs now.
Oh, there we go. There we go. That's the good stuff right there. The Mets' demise over the next 2 weeks could be good theater on top of watching the Phillies try and lock up that 2 seed or fight for that top seed. I like that. I do like that everyone has now come to the side of it was good to get Harrison Bader.
Yes, because originally he was just who the hell is this guy? Just a throw-in. You see another Austin Hayes.
Well, I know there were a lot of people that were upset about that 14th ranked prospect and that 14-year-old they traded in the deal. I know that a lot of people were just, oh no, you can't trade 2 prospects for this Bader guy. I am kind of reveling in the whole Harrison Bader thing. That day, everyone, whoa, this isn't going to do anything for you. Now, let's be clear. Did I think that he was going to have a 900-something OPS here? Even I didn't think it was going to go this good. But the fact that it is going this good, listen, I know where the cigar store is down in Old City. I'll be honest with you. I've considered every time he hits another home run, just going down there, buying one, popping up here like, hey, remember when y'all told me this guy wasn't going to be enough for you?
Feet on the desk.
You weren't going to enjoy it?
Sitting back, relaxing.
We already have a defensive center fielder in Rojas. Oh, do you?
Who?
Oh, do you? I'm just saying. And now I see people being like, yeah, we got to bring him back. Well, yeah, might have to. I'm enjoying it. What else we got on the text line?
This is in regards to the A.J. Brown press conference yesterday or meeting, locker room meeting he had with the media. This is from Kelly Fishtown. She said, great show. I do, however, feel like if A.J. were to answer, he would be considered a diva. If he doesn't, he's a diva. I honestly think he answered it like Sirianni wanted him to.
Ooh. I guess there's a little Sirianni in that, in not answering. I don't know how much the Sirianni. Who was the texter again?
That's Kelly from Fishtown.
So
our neighbor.
Yeah, our neighbor. So I probably walked past. I was wandering Fishtown a little bit last evening. Stopped by, did the old Punch Buggy Bruin trivia last night.
Dude, I live right there. Live right there.
You could have stopped by.
I was here, probably still working by the time you got there.
Probably. Yeah, it's all right. We'll make plans. Don't worry. We're in the same neighborhood. We got a lot of people in that little area. We'll make plans. We'll get people out. I understand what people are saying when they say it's a damned if you, damned if you don't type situation. It's a no-win situation for him. I realize how sometimes unfair the expectation can be on the athlete. The one thing with this situation, though, is we all assume that his answer about the passing game was going to be negative if he actually answered that question. He doesn't have to answer it negative, even if he doesn't feel incredibly positive over things. Think about the number of times you ask someone throughout the day, how's the day? Oh, good. Oh, I got stuff going on. Keep him busy. It's an answer. Not necessarily the true answer. If I say to you, hey, Austin, how's your day going? And you respond to me with, I don't really want to answer that for you. Is that going to line me up to say, wow, he's having a heck of a day. Things must be going good. Or is it going to line me up to say, ooh, there's something going on with his day. I should probably wonder what's happening there.
Yeah, I would definitely say the latter.
Yeah. All right, let's before we get to the NFL notes at noon, I want to sneak Chris in here. Chris, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
What's up, man? Last week, I feel like the game shouldn't have been that close with the Eagles, man. Like Jaylen Carter spitting on deck was way too much, man.
Absolutely.
The game would have never been that close if he didn't do that. It's the Cowboys. Like, come on, man.
But ultimately, you're 1-0. like, Chris, I understand what you're saying. Like, Jaylen Carter should not have done that. Obviously, the discipline's been what the discipline has been for him. I think the context of the defense has to be in the whole idea that you were without your best defensive player, realizing that throughout the rest of the game, how they played, you have to keep factoring that into the equation. But for you, looking at this defense right now, if you think it shouldn't have been that close, how do you feel about this defense as a whole moving towards week 2?
Like week 2, I feel like they're going, it's all right, I'm guessing. That's if Jaylen not suspended.
No, he's not suspended. He's playing.
Oh, he's playing all right? Well, yeah. W.
All right. So you feel good. Overall, you're just more disappointed in the effort last week.
Yes.
All right. So you still feel good about this team?
Yeah. That was the only issue last week. That was it.
Oh, all right. Well, in that case, then I think we're golden here, Chris. I think you and I are perfectly fine. You know, you were only upset with the way they played last week. I can't control last week. They're 1-0. Take solace the fact they're 1-0. Move towards this week. You don't think it's a long-term issue? I think they got some issues on this defense long-term. But, hey, you just want to let me know that you're upset with the defense last week? I'll tell you. Speaking of Fishtown, there are a few people in Fishtown that were watching me be upset with the defense, too, last week. Just the nature of it. I was not thrilled. You were not thrilled. The issue, part of it's Jaylen Carter not being there. Part of it's not having the personnel, I think, at certain positions. We move on to week 2. And now we move on to NFL Notes at noon. What do you got for us today, Austin?
All righty. So, in case you haven't heard, San Francisco 49ers are dealing with some injuries, just like they were last season. So there's some deja vu going on. Ian Rapport put out there that Brock Purdy, who is, a long shot to play this week, dealing with a toe and left shoulder injuries, is projected to potentially be out 2 to 5 weeks.
Yeah, it's a turf toe variant, which not a doctor, don't play one on TV, won't play one on radio. Like, I have no idea what any of this medical stuff is. My medical knowledge comes strictly from Sixers updates. That's how I consume medical information. If it happened to a Sixer, I understand it. I haven't heard the turf toe variant.
Neither have I.
Before. So that's on me, maybe. Maybe I should just man up and stub my toe at some point. And
No. You don't want turf toe, from what I hear.
Yeah, from what I hear, it's terrible. Like, I remember, I believe Jamal Mashburn was suffering through that throughout the Temple season. I thought that was because he had everything going on with his toe through the end of Temple season. I might have that one wrong, but I believe that's what he was going through towards the end of Temple season. And it was tough. Like, it would walking, moving around. Like, that was a tough thing to deal with. So I understand how it's tough. But the variant, I'm very confused how you go from 2 to 5 weeks. Usually we get like that 3-4. That's
right.
A wide range of time for him to miss. And also, like you said, for the 49ers, I mean, I hate the 49ers. However, I will say, man, oh man, is it brutal that they just don't get a break.
Yeah,
we were talking about CMC last week. We were talking about
Kittle's out.
Talking about their wide receiver room, talking about the depth at running back, now their quarterback. Now you got to be stuck with Big Mac Jones. I mean, this is a tough turn for San Francisco. I got to text my uncle out there to see he's doing all right because he's going to be just broken about football season already, and it's only week 2.
Yeah, and they have the easiest schedule, so everyone thought they'd be able to bounce back, but the injury bug decided, you know what? I'm going to stay for a second season here out in the Bay.
Well, yeah, this is also the world where it's like, all right, maybe someone's going to lose their job. Like, I understand it's not, like, some of this is just bad luck.
Right.
Training-wise. But, like, at some point, they're going to look around and be like, all right, maybe we need to upgrade what we're doing here sports performance-wise. Now, with that being said, this is big on the Eagles side of things because I thought the 49ers would be this year's paper tiger, where they rack up a lot of wins against a bad schedule and then end up bowing out in the postseason. This could change the entire landscape of that NFC West if they do not have their quarterback for 5 weeks. Forget 3 weeks. Could change the entire complexion there and take them from paper tiger to just paperless.
All right.
They're just out.
Going on to the Ravens and Bills game. Not sure if you were staying up past your bedtime there to watch that, Ray, but DeAndre Hopkins had a phenomenal highlight, one-handed catch down the sideline for a touchdown, but then something peculiar happened in the red zone, or excuse me, in the back of the end zone, where a Bills fan essentially slapped D-Hop and Lamar Jackson on the head, and Lamar Jackson decided to push back at the fan. Well, Lamar yesterday addressed the situation and had to say this in regards to the incident with the Bills fan.
I wasn't even thinking about me being out there on the field, but my apologies to that, whoever that was. My apologies to him. Like, just chill next time. Just, you can talk trash and stuff, but keep your hands to yourself, man.
Simple.
That's like my exact takeaway from the whole thing. Like, he obviously wasn't thinking. He wasn't thinking in line with where he was, and it's wrong to put your hands on the fan, but two wrongs don't make a right. Neither one of those guys were right in the sense of what happened. That fan, however, is right to be banned. Like, sorry, man, you're not a part of this. We are a part of this in a very, very specific way, in the way that we cheer, watch, follow along. We are not actually active participants in what happens in that arena. The only time that you should be laying hands on the athlete, and even this is like, I don't know how much I feel about it, is like the Lambeau Leap type things where you're celebrating with them, where they invite you into the celebration and a part of their celebration is you. Even then, I'm like, I don't love the people just like grabbing like, oh, that's also just not, this is a terrible comparison, but this is what it makes me think of. You know, the idea of the where's my hug guy?
Yeah.
The person that feels like they're entitled to physical contact with people, like just because they're there. That, in like those celebrations, the people that like grab onto the athlete kind of give me that energy. It's like you're not entitled to their space. They're jumping into your space to celebrate, but you don't need to grab onto the person. So maybe that's my thing with physical contact, that I'm like not all about it in that regard, where I don't even think that even those situations you should be laying your hands on athletes. But you're not a part of the arena, bro. You're not a part of the game. You should be banned for what you did. I appreciate Lamar Jackson apologizing for the fact that he put hands on a fan, because you should not put hands on the fan. And I'm sure he's apologizing genuinely, but I'm also sure there's a part of him that's like, hey, listen, let's just put this behind us.
Right.
Because, like, let's not talk about what could have been in terms of penalty to him. But that fan hit not one, but two Ravens. You're not a part of the game. You're a part of the experience, but you are not a part of the game. Your hands, stay to yourself. You stay on that side of the fence. All right? Maybe a high five if Allen comes running past you after he scores a touchdown. Other than that, get out of the way.
Yeah. And then finally here, Aaron Rodgers, he's 41 years old, and it's an accomplishment to him to still be able to play NFL football. But as we all know, Father Time does catch up to these guys. Well, he got the win versus the Jets, but he was sacked 4 times, and he stated that it was due to a tight back and that he needs to be more mobile. Quote, I got to do a better job of using my legs. I might be old, but I still feel like I can move around pretty good, and I wasn't moving the way I usually like to move. Ray, do you believe at 41 years old and getting tight backs that he could be, quote, more limber and more agile in the pocket? Because I don't.
Red flag right there. I pull him into the office and say, hey, read that date of birth to me. Read that date of birth to me.
He turns 42, I believe. I looked it up today. It was December 3rd or 2nd.
Okay, so you see that date of birth? You able to do the math in your head? Can you count up? You don't got to be as mobile as you once were. You throw it to the open guy and use that cannon of the arm to do what you've done for so many years. I'm not asking you to run away from these 23-year-olds. They're going to get you. All right? Mobility in the pocket, sure. Mobility outside the pocket, don't even start to try and sell me on that, Aaron Rodgers. Good week 1, though. Good week 1 for you. But, and a good NFL notes at noon from you, Austin Jones. I appreciate you putting that one together. Coming up, speaking of the NFL, we got a good one tonight. And the morning show debating on who you should be rooting for tonight. To the point where Connor Thomas came into this studio after the morning show trying to get my opinion on it because he needed to feel justified. We'll tell you about it coming up next. Commanders, Packers tonight. I'll tell you who I'm rooting for. I'm Ray Dunn here on the Midday Show, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Do you feel...
Howie Roseman did something that I think a lot of people sometimes miss. He went ahead of the curve. Defenses have gotten smaller and faster, so he said, okay, let's get a ground game going. Talk about how difficult that might be, trying to either do something different, or a lot of teams go, wait, we have to throw to win, so we're going to build offenses that way. When it comes to building a roster, would you rather try to go with what everybody else is doing or try to be the person that says, let me try to combat with that with something else?
Well, I'm going to answer that in 3 ways. First and foremost, you're absolutely right about Howie. He does a tremendous job. But I'm also going to credit Jeff Lurie, because when you are the owner, you have ultimate responsibility and ultimate authority, and you can certainly delegate that responsibility and delegate that authority, and he has done so. He picked someone magnificent to whom to give that authority and responsibility, but at the end of the day, the owner is the owner, so credit to Jeff Lurie as well. Number 2, you are talking to the girl who has always and forever been an advocate and a proponent of the run game. Last year when I heard people saying, oh, a rejuvenation of the run game, my brain almost exploded because I have never given up on the running game. Look, football is 11 on 11. That's math, and that's math that even I can do, and I suck at doing math. But if you've got a solid, good, and in the case of the Eagles, tremendous running game, well, guess what? It's going to take defenders on the other team to slow that down, and by definition, that's going to make your quarterback's job easier, your receiver's job's easier, because if you've got to put attention on a running game, which Eagle opponents did, you're freeing up other people. So I love what he did. That you were able to, and I'm saying you because you're Philadelphians, go out and get the back of the quality you did from a divisional opponent is, well, I'll use my mom's word, wowie.
We have it too much ingrained in us where it's you finally got a franchise that gives you a bully on the block, that gives you one of the greatest teams in all of pro sports. And we got people who want to, the Commanders look good and Jaden Daniels looks good and want to suck their thumbs. I don't get it. I do not get it. I waited my whole damn life to have a team like this, and I refuse to be scared of it. I refuse. Embrace it. I'm not scared of the Commanders. Not in the least. Not in the...
Tax credits up to $4,300 when purchasing a heating and cooling system. Learn more at ServiceFirstHVAC.com. I'm Ray Dunn, taking you to the Midday Show here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Coming up in about an hour's time, 1:25, we'll talk to Olivia Reiner from the Philadelphia Inquirer. Covers the Eagles, about all things going on with the Eagles ahead of the matchup with the Chiefs this weekend. And get into a little bit of the injury question marks. Dallas Goedert not participating. Goddard finally had a day. He was hurt. I mean, I'll say it. Every time he got hit in that game, I was like, man, I would not stand up. And that's probably true for a lot of NFL hits. But he was getting crushed in that game, left and right. Every time he touched the ball, I felt like he was getting walloped. It was insane. So seeing him pop up in the injury report was notable, but also maybe not the most surprising thing given the beating he took there. And also he's a veteran. Maybe he's just getting some time. We'll see. That's why we have Olivia on in about an hour to talk about it. But a talking point today on the Kincade and Salciunas. Also, by the way, shout out Kincade and Salciunas. I'll play this in a couple minutes. I appreciate the love. We'll get that audio for you in a couple minutes. But talking point today for them was, who are you rooting for in Commanders-Packers? And generally, I'm rooting for good football on Thursday Night Football. That's really, the bar is very low for Thursday Night Football, given historically what it's been. I want Al Michaels to have a good time, is really what I'm rooting for when it comes to Thursday Night Football. I just want to see Al happy. I think that's a fair thing, you know? I want him in the fourth quarter to sound like he's into the game he's at. That's generally what I'm rooting for. But in the realest sense of what I'm rooting for tonight, I'm rooting for a division opponent to lose. That should be, especially early on in the season, before we really have an idea of how the hierarchy of the NFL looks. Week in and week out, from like now until the middle of October, first 6 weeks of the season, you should just be rooting for your division opponents to lose at any cost. Now, it's something you will do all season long, but before I can put a concerted effort into, I want to make sure the Vikings don't get a good seed, or I want to make sure that the Rams don't get a good seed. I want to make sure the Buccaneers don't get a good seed. I want to make sure that the Packers don't get a good seed. Before I can go outside of my immediate house, my immediate home, my division, I have to ensure hating on the 3 other teams. That is the way, for me, as a fan, I look at tonight's game. As an Eagles fan, I understand the threat the Packers could be in the NFC. The Commanders, if you look at this division, right now still sit there as the team right behind you. And a lot of us coming into this season expected a step down from the win total from last year overall. You know, if you think they're an 11, 12-win team, wouldn't it be nice for the Commanders to drop one early so that you're looking at them before we even play the second game, you know you've got one on them in the loss column? That'd be nice. So as much as I could concern myself with, wow, what will the Packers be someday when we play the Packers in November, or when they play the Packers in November, when we get down to the end of the season, seeding-wise, where they will be, I have to take care of what's directly around me. And that first begins with everyone in this division racking up some L's. And tonight, you better believe, put aside what you know about my affinity for Jordan Love. Put aside the fact that I've been touting this Packers team for quite a while. All that put to the side for a second. Say that this was Commanders-Lions. I'd be a Lions fan tonight. If this was Commanders-Vikings, I'd be a Vikings fan tonight. Commanders-Bucks, I'd be a Bucks fan tonight. I need to take care of what's directly in front of me. The Commanders are a team that could stop you from having a home playoff game just by virtue of them winning the division and you not winning the division. Do I think it'll happen? No. But let's take care of things in-house first. Let's make sure you knock them to the side, especially because everyone went and crowned the Packers this past week. The Commanders beat them on a short week on the road. All of a sudden, Commanders are going to be crowned over here. Talk about, wow, look at what they got down in Washington. Maybe we won't see that second-year swoon. I don't want to have that talking point tomorrow. All right? So I am rooting for the Packers tonight. That is what makes the most sense to me. Austin Jones.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way on this planet that I would root for the Commanders tonight. You can't worry about the Packers and how everything's going to work out 2-3 months from now. You want the Packers to go and, kick their feet up at Lambeau Field and make Jaden Daniels, look like he's going to have a second-year slump. You can't worry about that. Just root for the Packers and worry about the seeding later on. The fact that you even have a thought to root for the Commanders just boggles my mind.
Yeah, I want to see them lose. I want, personally, to see that team. I'm curious, though, because I'd like to hear the argument against me here at 610-632-0975, because I don't really understand the argument against me in terms of why you would root for the Commanders tonight. I think the Packers will be really good. It is week 2. And as much as I love Jordan Love, one of the big things I've talked about, and I talked about following their win of the Lions this week when we did Besides the Birds, and then following that segment after Besides the Birds, was his consistency is what will drive them somewhere. If he has put together 2 good weeks, that's still not a consistent month-long run where I'm like, all right, yeah, now I think they've stabilized. I would just prefer the Commanders be behind you in the division. That just feels like the likely thing. But I know I'm disagreeing with Kincade and Salciunas this morning because I think the only one root for the Commanders. I'm just confused who was rooting for what. I just know that they ended up calling Connor a child today. And they ended up saying that Connor's now hosting a Commanders podcast.
Yeah, so that makes me feel that Connor had some blood in the game for the Commanders
No,
tonight.
he didn't, though. That was the weird part. I was confused.
I guess we're both confused.
Yeah, I don't know. Connor came in here at the break like, who are you rooting for? He was all fired up. So clearly they had a back and forth there today that got to him. But I do want to give them some flowers. And, you sit here in the middle of the day. You obviously have Kincade and Salciunas before us. Obviously, Unfiltered after us. Usually Kevin Cooney rolling with you in the evening. And I feel like Kevin and I are pretty well aligned. We got a nice alliance going, Done post-game together before. We've done we did draft special before. We've worked together quite a bit. We used to have some great crossovers in the summer. So we feel pretty. But I don't necessarily feel that there's an alliance that's been had for me. Either more, because you're not supposed to show favoritism in the middle here. You're supposed to be the thing that connects everyone. But I will say, with Colarulo irking me and just being a bother to me, hearing this morning on Kincade and Salciunas almost felt like a nice little extension of, hey, why don't we work together? Take a listen.
I'll applaud Dave Dombrowski for getting Harrison Bader and clearly seeing something out of David Robertson. Do I think they thought this well? Maybe not, but he's been a spectacular addition for them to a team that desperately needed a bullpen.
We got to thank Ray Dunn. I mean, let's be honest.
Well, yeah, he was pushing for that for a while.
Ray Dunn, who honestly took it on like a religious crusade.
Yes, he did.
He really did, and I thanked Ray Dunn. I've sent a few tweets as you publicly, Ray Dunn, for being so vocal about it. I wanted it too, but he really did.
And John, I thank you for thanking me for realizing I basically was the one that brought David Robertson here. I didn't want to take all the credit in the world, but now that you said it, I will. Thank you, John Kincade. Thank you, Andrew Salciunas. Thank you, Kincade and Salciunas, for your work and your acknowledgement of the work I put in to make sure Robertson ended up here. And I know they were going to get to it. My love of Harrison Bader as well, but I know that Connor has probably taken over the mantle as being the biggest Harrison Bader guy around. So that's fine. I just wanted to say that I'm grateful for you guys in the morning. Thank you, really, when it comes down to it. And Colorado, watch out. We'll put you on an island because there's some nice warm and fuzzy feelings going on here from 6 to 2. You just watch out. You don't want to end up on the island. I haven't been one to take sides. I've been one to just kind of hang out.
97.5 The Fanatic, Love Island.
Love Island? No Love Island. There's no love in that one. Just Island. You go on Island. All right? I'm just saying. I feel a little connection with the morning show here. Very nice of them today. All right, coming up at 12:30, we're going to be joined by John Price of Sports Information Traders. Big week for him if you called. If you called last week, you're in a good spot. We're in a good spot if you called last week. Those plays that they were giving out behind the number, those were good. You jumped on him. He's coming up at 12:30. I'm Ray Dunn. Take it to the midday show right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
I'm Austin Jones with your Fanatic Sports Update. The Phillies won their series against the Mets as they won last night 11-3 and took 3-game lead in the 4-game series, and now they have a 10-game lead in the NL East. Max Kepler had 5 RBIs, and Bryce Harper hit his 25th home run on the season. Jesus Luzardo is on the mound tonight as first pitch is for 7:15, and the game will be on Fox. The Eagles returned to the practice field yesterday, but they did so without Dallas Goedert as he missed practice with a knee injury. Landon Dickerson and Jalen Hunt were both limited. This is the 5th straight year the Eagles are playing the Chiefs, and Jaylen Hurts has some familiarity going up against defensive coordinator Speak Sanola, and he spoke about that yesterday.
You have all those things to have for reference while understanding that the game changes and the game evolves and teams change. And so, overall, you're dealing with someone that is very high IQ at a game of football, and he calls it that way, and he coaches it that way. And that's something that jumps out on the tape.
This update is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. Looking for an exceptional driving experience the power, precision, and intelligence on an iconic Mercedes-Benz SUV at your local Mercedes-Benz dealer today. I'm Austin Jones, your home of the best birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Howie Roseman did something that I think a lot of people sometimes miss. He went ahead of the curve. Defenses have gotten smaller and faster, so he said, okay, let's get a ground game going. Talk about how difficult that might be, trying to either do something different, or a lot of teams go, wait, we have to throw to win, so we're going to build offenses that way. When it comes to building a roster, would you rather try to go with what everybody else is doing, or try to be the person that says, let me try to combat with that with something else?
Well, I'm going to answer that in three ways. First and foremost, you're absolutely right about Howie. He does a tremendous job. But I'm also going to credit Jeff Lurie, because when you are the owner, you have ultimate responsibility and ultimate authority, and you can certainly delegate that responsibility and delegate that authority, and he has done so. He picked someone magnificent to whom to give that authority and responsibility, but at the end of the day, the owner is the owner, so credit to Jeff Lurie as well. Number two, you are talking to the girl who has always and forever been an advocate and a proponent of the run game. Last year when I heard people saying, oh, a rejuvenation of the run game, my brain almost exploded because I have never given up on the running game. Look, football is 11 on 11. That's math, and that's math that even I can do, and I suck at doing math. But if you've got a solid, good, and in the case of the Eagles, tremendous running game, well, guess what? It's going to take defenders on the other team to slow that down, and by definition, that's going to make your quarterback's job easier, your receiver's jobs easier, because if you've got to put attention on a running game, which Eagle opponents did, you're freeing up other people. So I love what he did. That you were able to, and I'm saying you because you're Philadelphians, go out and get the back of the quality you did from a divisional opponent is, well, I'll use my mom's word, wowie.
We have it too much ingrained in us where it's you finally got a franchise that gives you a bully on the block, that gives you one of the greatest teams in all of pro sports. And we got people who want to, the Commanders look good and Jaden Daniels looks good and want to suck their thumbs. I don't get it. I do not get it. I waited my whole damn life to have a team like this, and I refuse to be scared of it. I refuse. Embrace it. I'm not scared of the Commanders. Not in the least. Not in the least.
Howie Roseman did something that I think a lot of people sometimes miss. He went ahead of the curve. Defenses have gotten smaller and faster, so he said, okay, let's get a ground game going. Talk about how difficult that might be, trying to either do something different, or a lot of teams go, wait, we have to.
That's right. Midday show here on 97.5 The Fanatic. I'm Ray Dunn, taking you through the 12 o'clock hour here. Austin Jones, producer of the program. Got plenty of Phillies conversation. 3 in a row against the Mets, a thing of beauty. And, of course, Eagles, Chiefs coming your way on Sunday. We will get to more of that conversation coming up. But now, joining us on the Comcast Business Hotline is a guy who, once again, last week, showed you why he is the gold standard when it comes to the sports betting industry. When he told all you here to give a call in, purchase the Philly special, his exclusive gameplay, prop wager in the Eagles-Cowboys game. The plays, 23.5, over 23.5 in that first half. How'd that work out for him? Not bad, huh? Not bad. Also, on top of that, over 39.5 yards receiving for Dallas Goedert. Both of those plays, you can see them, verify them, front and center on his website, sportsinformationtraders.com. Congratulations to everyone in Philadelphia who jumped on last week and won with him. We head to the phone now to talk to our guy, John Price of Sports Information Traders. John, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. You know, there's a lot of companies that claim they're great, but when you get off to a 2-0 start with plays like that, you really prove that we are at the top of this industry. And I know everybody in Philadelphia was happy that the Eagles won the game, and all the people who called in and got on the Philly special were winners as well. And we've got something as big, if not bigger, that's coming up this weekend that starts tonight, and that is the following. If you go to our website, sportsinformationtraders.com, again, it's sportsinformationtraders.com, you're going to see the triple play special. Now, we told you about the Philly special last week. That involved a play and a prop. We have a big play tonight in the Packers-Commanders game. We have a big college play on Saturday, and we have a big NFL prop that's an underdog play on Sunday. All three of those plays are involved in the triple play special. You can purchase it right now on our website for $49. Let me say that again. It's $49, and I know we have some big players in Philadelphia because we have clients who are big players in Philadelphia. This is not a qualifying offer. I don't care if you bet $1,000 a game. $49 gets you our triple play special. Go to our website, sportsinformationtraders.com. If you're on the Walt Whitman Bridge or the Schuylkill Expressway, just remember the website, sportsinformationtraders.com, and you can purchase our triple play special for $49, or you can call us 866-356-1232.
And just to reiterate for all of you out there, you're listening to John Price of Sports Information Traders. Right now, you get the triple play special for only $49 at sportsinformationtraders.com. You can call 866-356-1232. The first play is in tonight's Commanders-Packers game. And like last week, John has this play circled as a 5-unit winner. Okay, John, let's give out some plays to our audience as you do every week. And, hey, dive into what we care about here. Potentially the biggest NFL game of the weekend, the one that we're locked into here in Philadelphia. How do you see this one playing out between the Eagles and the Chiefs?
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to this one. You know, the line opened with Kansas City at -1.5. The current line is Eagles -1. That, folks, is called a line flip. I think America is in love with the Philadelphia Eagles after week number 1. That's why they're now the favorites at the moment. Looking at the game, you know, the Eagles coming off a hard-fought win over the Cowboys. Once again, Jaylen Hurts continues to prove to be the most reliable quarterback in the NFL. You can talk about stats. You can talk about plays. You can talk about MVP votes. The most reliable quarterback in the National Football League is Jaylen Hurts until proven otherwise. What I like so much about last week's game is Eagles fans know there were a lot of imperfections, lots of things to work on, yet they still won that game, which is good news for them and a nightmare for the rest of the NFL. They're only going to get better. The Chiefs, biggest stat there is their leading rusher last week was Patrick Mahomes. That's not supposed to happen. A one-dimensional Chiefs team is not going to get very far this year, so I expect Andy Reid to make adjustments and come out pretty aggressive this week. As for a prediction, Kansas City was 8-0 at home last year. The Eagles were 6-2 on the road, so they both play well in those settings. I'm looking at the total. Last year at home, the Chiefs averaged 24 points on the road, at home rather. The Eagles averaged 28 points a game on the road. Again, I really think these offenses are in great position. The defenses are a little bit behind, and I think together they're going to push the total over the number. So here, with the number 47, I'm taking the over 47 points in the Eagles-Chiefs football game. That, folks, will not be our private play. That's a play that I know you'll be watching. If you want to get on our plays, our big plays, You think the Philly special was good? Fans in Philadelphia and payers in Philadelphia will tell you they already won. What we have this week is bigger because it's 3 plays, and it starts tonight. It's our triple play special. Remember our website, sportsinformationtraders.com. 5-unit gameplay tonight, 5-unit gameplay on Saturday in college football, 5-unit prop wager on Sunday in the NFL. Together, it's going to be our biggest weekend in years where this is concerned. And you can also call us at 866-356-1232. I just want to throw in really quickly, last week we had a lot of people trying to purchase at the same time. Our server is big, but it got a little clustered. So if you try to purchase and you're having a delay, you can always call us at 866-356-1232.
So you got me talking about another week where we're talking about where this defense is at with the over 47 in Eagles-Chiefs this weekend. John Price with us right now from Sports Information Traders. Go to sportsinformationtraders.com. Get a triple play special for only $49. You can buy it directly on the website, or you can call 866-356-1232. And now you're talking to a Temple grad right here, someone who loves the Owls. And I see that you have, as the second play we're talking about today, something in Oklahoma versus Temple. Tell us why you're going there and what you like in this one.
I can feel you being in the fetal position. Relax. I'm looking forward to this football game.
We had the coach on yesterday, John.
Yeah. So listen, Oklahoma, this line opened with Oklahoma at minus 26.5. It's now minus 21.5. So I think a lot of people are throwing their money at the Owls and the points right now. And let's look at it for a moment. On the Sooners, last week we saw John Mateer look like the real deal that I talked about. He has all the tools to be a Heisman finalist. Barring an injury, he's got the offense and the talent to do it. They dominated time of possession versus the Wolverines, but they'll be looking to quick strike on the Owls defense and play up tempo. For the Owls and for you, this is what I say. This is why football players live and breathe the idea of going to Temple. When you say, I want to go play for Temple, this is a dream game. You've got the Oklahoma Sooners coming into your backyard where dreams can become a reality. Temple also has a talented quarterback in Evan Simon. They have a talented defense as well. It's a house money game. Tell the coach, it's a house money game. If you win, you shock the world. If you lose, you are supposed to lose. You have nothing to lose, and I look forward to seeing how this plays out. Now, in terms of prediction, in all my years of doing this, I've never found great value in a road team laying 3 touchdowns. If you find someone like that, I don't want to speak to them. I'm looking at the total. I think Mateer is going to have the Oklahoma offense flying. I think that Simon and the Temple offense is also going to have success. The total in this game is 51 points. Whether Oklahoma wins running away or whether it's closer, this total's going over that number. So I'm taking the over 51 points in the Oklahoma-Temple football game. I know you'll be watching. I know everybody will be watching in Philadelphia. That is not the play that we have on Saturday. If you want to get on the plays that I'm putting my money behind, I've got 3 of them. 1 tonight in the Commanders-Packers game, 1 on Saturday in college football, and 1 prop wager in the NFL on Sunday that's an underdog play. Those 3 plays I put my name on, just like the Philly special that we swept last week. You can buy those 3 plays right now. It's called the Triple Play Special at our website, sportsinformationtraders.com. Again, if you're in the car and you're trying to remember us, remember our website, sportsinformationtraders.com. You can buy the Triple Play Special. It's only $49. It doesn't matter if you're a big player or a small player. The price is the same for everybody. We just want you to win these games so that next week when we come on Philadelphia and we talk about the sweep of the Triple Play Special, you're looking at extra money in your account because you followed us. Go to sportsinformationtraders.com, or you can give us a call at 866-356-1232, and good luck to your Owls.
I appreciate that. I'll be there. Noon, Lincoln Financial Field. Better believe I'll be there, John. But we appreciate you always. John Price, of course, off to the hot start, both on the air, off the air. Swept the Philly special that he offered to you last week. This week, it's the Triple Play Special for only $49. You can buy it directly at sportsinformationtraders.com or call them at 866-356-1232. Thank you so much for joining us today. Look forward to talking to you next week, John.
All right, thank you. We'll be in touch.
John Price there from Sports Information Traders. Again, 866-356-1232 if you want to get in with their triple play. Coming up, getting back to the Phillies and the Eagles. A lot of points this weekend from John. Both overs he's got for us this weekend. So looking forward to see what he has there. The Goddard play he had last week. Are we going to see Goddard this week? A little bit of concern looking at the injury report. We'll get to that coming up next. I'm Ray Dunn, take you through the Midday Show here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now, a Birds Insider Update on 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
I'm Austin Jones with your Birds Insider Update. The Eagles are preparing to play the Kansas City Chiefs for their 5th consecutive season. They have some injuries to keep an eye on as tight end Dallas Goedert missed practice yesterday with a knee injury. Joining him and not practicing was also quarterback Tanner McKee and running back Will Shipley. There was a little bit of good news as Landon Dickerson and Jalen Hunt were both limited. The Eagles will be back on the practice field today at 2:15. New additions Darius Smith met with the media yesterday and spoke about his decision on signing with the Eagles. Give a listen.
But I just felt comfortable with coming to Philly. You know, I know Obo. You know, we was together in Cleveland, man, and I talked to him, and he was just telling me about the organization, the locker room, and the great people here, man. Dom, one of the head guys, man. I love Dom, man. But just this whole team, man, and the culture, man, I love everything about it. And, hey, they just got a Super Bowl, and hopefully we can go get it again, but...
Head coach Nick Sirianni will meet again with the media tomorrow around 11:50 a.m., and then they'll go out on the practice field for 12:35. I'm Austin Jones, your home of the best Birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
This is your wheelhouse, too. Offensive line. How do you think Tyler Steen looked as the starting right guard?
I mean, it's like he started all last year. He had a phenomenal game. He showed presence out there. He wasn't just in there filling in. He showed that I wanted a position. He was, very, very explosive out there. He put his hands on people. He was moving people. He looked like a day one starter, like he should have been there last year. I was totally impressed on Tyler Steen and how he approached this game. I mean, kudos to, Coach Stoutland making sure he's ready to play. And I tell you what, I had rave reviews for him all through the post game, the other night, and just the way he played. So big ups to him going out there and really showing and imposing his will on that offense as an offensive lineman.
How are teams kind of looking at the Phillies when it comes to playoff baseball?
I know how people here look at the Phillies, but I also get to hear how people on the outside look at them. And here's the phrase that GM-type figures in two front offices use to describe them to me just in the last few weeks. They both said, that's the best team we played all year. And these are two guys, their teams they both have winning records, so they're not just saying that. One of them said to me, when he looks at the Mets, he sees a team that isn't that different from his team or any of these teams in this pack. But when he looks at the Phillies, he sees a team that runs a starting pitcher out there every night, or just about every night, that's better than his team's pitcher and better than most teams' pitcher. And that's still true even without Zach Wheeler, which really opened my eyes. He said he told the other guys in his front office, he said, you know what, I think we've got a nice team. But when I look at that team, That's the varsity, and the rest of us are the JV. And the other thing is the numbers bear that out. The Phillies have won more series against teams with winning records than any other team in baseball.
This is your wheelhouse, too. Offensive line. How you think Tyler Steen looked as the starting right guard?
I mean, it's like he started all last year. He had a phenomenal game. He showed presence out there. He wasn't just in there filling in. He showed that I wanted a position. He was, very, very explosive out there. He put his hands on people. He was moving people. He looked like a...
Welcome back into the Midday Show here on 97.5 The Fanatic. We just had John Price, Sports Information Traders. Of course, you can get his triple play at 866-356-1232. Play on the game tonight, play on the game Saturday, play on the game Sunday. Now, I think tomorrow at 1:30, we're going to do something similar, but it's going to be raise plays, and it's going to be plays to fade. Because I've been just atrocious. I feel bad giving out advice at this point.
I feel you on that.
People come to you as someone that's in sports media, and it's like, you have all the answers. You obviously follow this. You must know. And I will very clearly tell people, don't take gambling advice. It's your money. You go to John Price. All right? Don't go to me. All right? I simply opine. I know what I see, but there's a reason they call it gambling. I don't call it winning. I call it gambling.
Yes.
Some guys call it winning. Those are the people that you should listen to.
I agree with you. I was with Kevin Cooney on Philly Sports Tonight last Friday night, and we typically do our little pick segment. Went 1-2. So, again.
Hey, you won one. That's good.
Oh, you got swept.
Well, that's the other thing. It's not no, because my thing is the props. I'm a big props.
Okay.
I'm not big on picking lines and all that stuff. That's whatever. I probably would give me a nice cushion on the props.
Right.
But yeah, I like and I also am way too obsessed with the payout. I'm payout chasing. That's me. That's my story. That's my bad. Speaking of my story, we're gonna get to the phones here. Glenn wants to get in on the Phils in a second here. And I know he wants to get in on the Temple. He said he'd be calling all week. First time we're gonna hear from him is Thursday. I did something very unique to me yesterday, and I felt very proud of myself that I want to share on the air for the audience that's been here with me since the beginning. The first time I got on these airwaves was to break down watching The Last Boy Scout, because I had never seen it, which is very apt given anyone who's ever listened to me knowing I don't watch movies and I don't have a very strong knowledge of the movies I have watched. I watched something that wasn't sports yesterday. It wasn't a movie, necessarily. If you guys remember, the suggestion was given to watch the Billy Joel doc. And I went and watched the first episode of it. 2.5 hours, by the way. So this is I committed to this. It's a 5-hour thing between the two episodes. I went and watched the first 2.5-hour episode. I'm considering going home and watching the second one. Just because I'm looking to get a little rest. It's been a kind of a crazy couple of weeks for me, if you could imagine. It's been I've been running around. So I'm trying to relax yesterday and today. I watched it. It was tremendous. The recommendation was spectacular. And I will echo the sentiment of people don't give that man enough credit for the number of hits he has. He is an all-time. And going through the different stories leading and everything, it was unreal. But how many people in this world would you? Billy Joel is one of those people, so I'm glad it's been produced the way it was. I didn't feel like any of the 2.5 hours was wasted. How many people would you sit down and watch 5 hours worth of content on their life? There's a certain small nucleus that I would sit down and watch 5 hours worth of content on someone's life.
Yeah, I would agree. I guess it depends on how the 5 hours is broken down. Like 2.5 hours for, one episode 1 and episode 2. Like, that's a full-time commitment more than 5 1-hour episodes. You catch my drift there?
Yeah, but I think that it's well enough portioned out where you could probably realize, all right, here's a stop in the story they just told you. We could pick this up another time.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, no, there's a small circle of people, whether it's sports or not, that
Give me a sports person that you'd be interested in watching 5 hours of content just on their life.
Number one, I'm waiting on LeBron's documentary.
Fair.
I would watch a Tom Brady one as well.
Okay.
Denzel.
Is it wrong that I don't have that level of interest in, I don't know, the Brady story to me? Maybe I do. Maybe I would. 5 hours, I'm thinking about it. If they spend at least an hour on personal stuff, hour on his rise, hour on the, like TB12, how he took care of himself, an hour on the Patriots' demise. All right, I could see where.
Yeah, and then him going to Tampa Bay, and then.
I guess I could see 5 hours. I was gonna say I don't know how much his story really compels me, but he's an all-time great, and I give him that respect. I don't know. LeBron, immediately I was like, yeah, okay, I'm in on that. LeBron, if it's only 5 hours, I'll be shocked. I feel like he's going to command himself like a full day.
Like 10 hours or something like that.
Jordan got 10 hours, so he's definitely going to do more than Jordan.
11 hours.
Yeah. He's going to definitely try and make sure that his sells longer. It's interesting. I'm just curious, people. We get on the text line at 610-632-0975. Some of you just sit down and watch 5 hours worth of their life story. For me, personally, Iverson, given that I've watched pretty much every piece of Iverson content that's ever put out there, I feel like that's one that always hits home. Embiid, when it happens, like the 5 hour, I'll probably watch that. I'm trying to think who else I would really. The full story of like that would be interesting. I'm just thinking Philadelphia right now. You can see where the way my brain's turning.
Yeah, I'm looking at you. And any Phillies? You're a big Phillies guy. So is anyone there?
Ooh, Phillies.
Besides Harrison Bader?
Well, yeah, there you go. That's the answer. Harrison Bader. Speaking of the Phillies, let's get to Glenn in Wallingford. Wants to jump in on them. Glenn, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, Ray. How's it going, buddy?
Going good. How are you?
Good. So before I get to my main point, I did, want to chime in on the Phillies. And at the trade deadline, I was a pro Bader guy, right? So I know that a lot of the people were Stephen Kwan, who was the other guy. And when you looked at it, Bader was having a marginally better season and he didn't have to give up the farm for it either, right?
Kwan, since the deadline, if they had traded for him, there would be pitchforks. People would be rioting over how poor he's played since the deadline. We would be losing our minds here in Philadelphia.
And so Bader's kind of fit in really, really well with the clubhouse, and and he's producing. So that definitely was a win for the GM making that move. And plus, you were able to protect all the young guys too. So that was like a win-win for him. So that's definitely a great move, and feeling super confident with the Phillies. I still don't know if I'm super confident in them winning the World Series, but I feel good for them.
They're buying you back, though, Glenn. They're doing it to me, too. They're really doing a good job of buying me back here. It's becoming difficult to fight the feeling.
Exactly. But the most important thing on my mind, Ray, and again, I don't know how well they're going to play. Well, I should strike that. I don't know how the final score is going to be, but I know they're going to play well because the coach, Casey Keeler, is going to have them prepared. He's going to have them, ready to play. And they may lose just because Oklahoma is more talented, but this I feel so confident with Casey Keeler at the helm in the short term and long term future. So just the guy just has won everywhere he's been, and Temple's done it in the past. So I could definitely see Casey getting this team to a point when they're winning conference championships. And listen, at the end of the day, Ray, I hope as many Philadelphia fans who don't have the opportunity to get to the link for an Eagles game, you can go to this game this weekend and watch a big-time football game, college football game at the link this weekend, all right? So that's my message for Philadelphia, anybody who's listening.
Go
If you don't get a
Owls,
chance to
Glenn.
visit the link-
Go Owls, man.
Exactly. Go Owls.
I echo the
Exactly.
sentiment right there, Glenn. Go Owls, baby. That's right. You know how good things have to be going for Temple football? We're taking phone calls on the air. We're getting a minute-long diatribe from Glenn right there. I love Glenn. He's the man. I know he's fired up this week. I can't wait to be there this weekend. Well, that's back-to-back segments. We're talking Temple football. You know how warm the soul is right now for me? I'm fired up. By the way, how about us, Austin? No big deal to us. Across the broad,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I opened up my Instagram. I was like, oh, hey, that's my face. Nice. Cool.
Yeah, I had a buddy send me. He's like, oh, look who made it big time. I'm like, all right, relax. Relax. I'm just there.
Kyle's fired up for it. I'll be honest. I was like, hey, man, we have Casey Keeler on. We'll see if we get the hot mic. He brought up the hot mic thing. He was like, oh, okay, sweet. I was like, you might want to check this one out. I was fired up, though, when he brought up the hot mic thing yesterday. Casey Keeler, friend of the program. Big weekend for the Owls. Coming up, we'll get back to the Birds. We got A1 coming up. Get back to the text line, 610-632-0975. I mentioned Goddard. The health of Goddard. And the odd feeling about this matchup with the health of the wide receivers for Kansas City and just the health of that offense as a unit, should we be more concerned about the defense on a team with Patrick Mahomes? I'm Ray Dunn, taking it to the Midday Show here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
I'm Austin Jones with your Fanatic Sports Update. This update is brought to you by Bradford White Water Heaters. When you need a new water heater, choose the one that is built to be the best. Choose Bradford White. The Phillies won their series yesterday against the New York Mets. 3 games out of 4 so far. They won 11-3 and have a 10-game lead in the NL East. Max Kepler had a big night with 5 RBIs, and Bryce Harper hit his 25th home run on the season. Kepler spoke about getting the series win over the Mets last night during his post-game presser.
Big accomplishment. We grinded over in New York, and we're unhappy with what we did there. So to win a series and hopefully get a sweep tomorrow is all you can ask for the team in here right now.
Jesus Luzardo will be on the mound tonight. His first pitch is set for 7:15, and the game will be on Fox. The Eagles returned to the practice field yesterday, and they did so without Dallas Goedert as he missed practice with a knee injury. Landon Dickerson and Jalix Hunt were both limited. This update is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. Looking for an exceptional driving experience? Experience the power, precision, and intelligence of iconic Mercedes-Benz SUV at your local Mercedes-Benz dealer today. I'm Austin Jones, your home of the best Birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
A Chiefs offense without Rashee Rice and without Xavier Worthy, I mean, now you're down to, I get it, Travis Kelce is still a guy who can make some plays, and Marquise Brown had 10 catches for 99 yards. When has ever a Chiefs receiver caught 10 passes and not even had 100 yards? So I think that's and this is a Chiefs team that was really trying this preseason and going into this year to try to get back to being a vertical offense. They really haven't had that. So, I mean, without those two guys, if Marquise Brown, who's not a bad receiver, but certainly not, not a guy that you like CeeDee Lamb, right? If that's their number one target out there, I think the secondary is not going to be, scared to death. So as long as you get a good pass rush and don't give Mahomes time to pick you apart and, find guys in the zone like Kelce or Marquise Brown, then they should be all right. So I would say the pass rush it's got to be on them to get the job done. think, obviously, if you're going to have that kind of game plan where everything is very short and fast and quick, you have to be decisive, and Jaylen Hurts was. I know he had 4 incompletions, but 3 of them were on throwaway. So I think really only one, and one was a drop, if I'm not mistaken. I think there was only one ball Jaylen Hurts threw that hit the ground that was, say, his fault. So that's pretty good. He was very, very efficient. I would expect that was a little bit of an anomaly and that you will see that more, especially because the Chiefs are a little bit more aggressive defensively.
Welcome back in. 1 o'clock hour. You're tuned in to WPEN HD1, Burlington, Philadelphia, Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibility. I'm Ray Dunn, taking you through the midday show. And right now, 1 o'clock hour, 1 o'clock every day. Some days,
Chiefs offense without
it's gun at 1.
Rasheed Rice and without Xavier Worthy.
Some days,
I mean, now you're down to. I get it. Travis Kelce's still a guy who can make some plays, and Marquise Brown. Marquise Brown had 10 catches for 99 yards. When has ever a Chiefs receiver caught 10 passes and not even had 100 yards?
And
so
they decided to form a
and
podcast.
this is a Chiefs team that was really trying preseason.
This podcast
and
is
going
a
into this
speakeasy
year
podcast
to
named TJ Hushmanzada on.
A vertical
and
offense. They really haven't
TJ
had
felt
that.
a very
So,
strong
I mean,
feeling in
without
regards
those
to
two
the
guys,
Eagles trying to repeat as
it's
Super Bowl
Marquise Brown. He's
champions.
not a bad
And he
receiver,
didn't
but
feel that
certainly
way
not,
because he didn't like the production out of the
a guy
wide
that
receiver
you-
position
like CeeDee
in
Lamb,
week 1.
right?
Give a listen to what
If
TJ,
that's their
who's your
number
mama,
one
had said.
target out
Eagles
there.
going to the Super Bowl?
I think the secondary is not going to be,
best
here to
players
death.
engaged.
So
You
as long
want
as
to
you get a good
engage.
pass rush and don't
You
give
want
Mahomes
him
time
to feel like
pick
he
you apart
matters. It
and,
means something.
find guys in
And
the zone like
that's not
Kelsey or
happening
or
when he's
Marquise
not
Brown,
getting the
then
ball.
they should
You
be all
won.
right. So I
He
would
got
say
his
the pass
first
rush
pass
has
attempt a
it's
minute
got to be on them
51
to get
left
the
in
job
the
done.
game. Devontae Smith need to get the ball. Like, you're going to need these guys.
Yeah, they got to get the ball there. Can we please with the they can't go to the Super Bowl because of week 1?
That's where I was at. I'm like, TJ, relax. Okay? Let's relax a little bit.
Yeah, obviously I'd be upset if I was A.J. Brown too. It's week 1, which was the whole point of what I said about A.J. Brown 2 hours ago. Why I didn't lead the show with what he said in the locker room, because I don't think it's that big of an issue. He's probably upset he didn't get the ball. Just take
I'm
care
upset.
of it. Yeah, I was annoyed. There was a couple times, all right, maybe here. Go, you know what? Where's my room at? Let me give him a call. Hey, man, how many times did I say during that game, this has to be the AJ play, right? Like that, I said 1,000,000 times. I have become my dad, by the way, watching a game. I love you, Dad. I've become you watching the game. There's nothing.
The Robert De Niro meme?
It's bad. Dude, it's so bad. I am him at this point.
Like
That's
father,
tough.
like son.
Yep.
All righty, so yesterday we did some stories around jersey numbers, with Michael Parsons and everything like that. We're going to continue that trend, but with another former Cowboy now. Michael Irvin, who wore number 47
Obviously, if you're going to have that
at
kind
the
of game
U,
plan where
that's
everything
the
is
University
very
of Miami,
short
for those that don't know,
and fast and quick,
which is a weird number for a wideout. And the reason why he had that number is because of his old coach, Jimmy Johnson, telling him something very specific on why he wanted him to wear 47. Michael Irvin said this on Club Shay Shay's podcast.
What made you wear 47? I didn't want 47. I went to Jimmy on this, man. I had a long talk. Jimmy, that's the coach, man.
That was a little bit of an anomaly, and that you will see that more, especially because the Chiefs are a little bit more aggressive defensively.
I'm just a freshman. What I see when I see you with that 47 on in practice, and you be catching them balls, a big 747, catching that thing about to land in the end zone with a perfect landing. I was like, yeah? Is that what you say? I swear. I was like, yeah? For all of a sudden, that 47 look crisp again. Hey, I'm trying to get a job. Yeah. If the head coach see me like the 747, I said, yeah. I was like, okay. 2 years later, we get here, and we were having a drink after we did something. I was with Coach. He said, Michael, I can't believe you brought that story. I said, what story, Coach? That 47 story. I say, you dirty dog, you.
I mean, we've all been in this situation where, like, yeah, whatever you say, just put me in a position to succeed. Like, I'll be honest with you. If he had given me number 47, gave me the same story, I'd be like, yep, sign me up, please.
It works for me. I mean, that's just crazy. Just coach is like, nah, you look like a 747. And then years later, yeah, I can't believe you bought that.
Yeah.
It's like, coach, why didn't you just give me number 7 then?
I mean, well, no, you didn't give it to, he's a freshman. You got to earn it.
That's true.
You got to earn it.
But the fact that he kept it the rest of the years after he was, quote, scoring them touchdowns and they won the chip down in Miami, what are you going to do? Continuing on, Bill Burr, one of the more underrated comedians in my opinion. Big Boston, New England sports fan, and he was on the Rich Eisen show, and Rich Eisen asked him, hey, what were your thoughts about Bill Belichick's first game down there at UNC? And, well, Bill Burr he's Bill Burr. Just give a listen.
What'd you think of Bill Belichick's first game as head coach of North Carolina?
What'd you think of Joe Namath on the Rams? Since when is the University of North Carolina even in the conversation of a college football powerhouse?
Not at all.
Exactly. All this says to me is how much it bothered you that for 20 years, you couldn't even enjoy the greatest NFL head coach of all time. Yeah. Do you know who played for the University of North Carolina and nobody even saw it happen? Lawrence Taylor. He played there for 4 years. Nobody even, and then all of a sudden he's on the Giants. It's like, oh my God, who is this guy?
I mean, now you're down to, I get it, Travis Kelce's still a guy who can make some plays, and Marquise Brown.
Enjoys retirement.
10 catches for 99 yards.
Just go to North Carolina.
When has ever a Chiefs receiver caught 10 passes
for 20 years?
and not even had 100 yards? So I think that's and this is a Chiefs team that was really trying.
Nothing that happens at the University of North Carolina is going to affect what happened in the NFL. You can try to make that piece up.
They really haven't had that. So, I mean, without those two guys,
who goes south to retire,
Marquise Brown, he's not a bad receiver, but certainly not, not a guy that you like CeeDee Lamb, right? That's their number one target out there. I think the secondary is not going to be,
I mean, he's wrong in the sense that I'm absolutely going to judge this every which way.
Don't give Mahomes time
but he's
to
right, like,
pick you apart
maybe
and,
should just
find guys in the zone like Kelsey or Marquise Brown.
This almost feels like consulting
job. They should be all right. So I think
like the guy retires from the big corporate job, then goes gets himself a consulting job. He's actually just trying to show North Carolina what football is. That's what this is. With all due respect.
Kicking the cane out from underneath the senior citizen, man.
Oh, he should have stopped. Oh, well. All right, well, that's A1. Good stuff, Austin. Coming up next, Dallas Goedert popping up on the injury report. And the concern over the Chiefs' defense. Is it greater than that, the Chiefs' offense? Crazy thing to say with Mahomes on the other side. I'm Ray Dunn. Taking through middays here at 97.5 The Fanatic.
Attention, Delaware Valley. 97.5 The Fanatic's Unfiltered with Ricky Bowe and Bill Colarulo are looking.
Now the Eagles get ready for the Super Bowl rematch as it's all being, put out this week that it's the Eagles and the Chiefs again. Now, we were talking this morning. We don't believe that well, it was 40-6 when the starters went out. We don't believe the two teams were that lopsided in talent against each other. But the beatdown on that day was very visible. To see Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes get taken out like that, what do you think they've got cooking for Sunday? And Steve Spagnuolo.
I think that it's going to be a tough challenge because, look, the Chiefs lost their first game, and they're 0-1. So they're the only team in that division, amazingly enough, after 1 week, that didn't win a game. I mean, it would be something if the Chiefs fell 0-2. 0-2. There's no way that they've ever started 0-2 under Mahomes. No way. So that to me is one of the biggest challenges that the Eagles face is you know you're getting their A game this Sunday. Home opener for them, 0-1. Like you're gonna get their best game on Sunday.
Shefty, Zadarius Smith signs with the Eagles. Then they make the trade for Tank Bigsby. Was this something that you believe has been in the works for a while, or was this something to do with week one?
Both were in the works for a while. Zadarius Smith they've been talking to for quite some time. I think that they were moving towards the deal, didn't get it done in time for the opener, and obviously then got it done shortly thereafter the next day. Tank Bigsby, the conversations with the Jaguars dated back to this summer. Initially, Tank Bigsby was supposed to be a part of that deal with Fred Johnson, the offensive tackle.
Interesting.
And there were some discussions, and Jacksonville, at the end, pulled him back from the trade, and they had agreed to two separate packages. One that was a solo Fred Johnson trade, another that was a Fred Johnson and Tank Bigsby trade together. In the end, ultimately at that time, Jacksonville decided it only wanted to part ways with Fred Johnson, but obviously the Eagles remained interested in Tank Bigsby, went back to the well, and finally were able to pry him loose for a 5 and a 6.
That's right. Welcome back into the Midday Show here on 97.5 The Fanatic. I'm Ray Dunn taking you through it. Austin Jones producing the program today. Man, it's been a week now since Eagles football. I know I went like 7 months where all I had was those 3 preseason games, and I watched all of those preseason games. I was here for those preseason games. So I feel like I'm uniquely qualified to say I miss real football. It's been a week. It's only been a week. I know I went 7 months without it, but I'm dying. It's great to play that first Thursday game because it means, well, it doesn't always mean you won the Super Bowl. For one team, it doesn't mean that. For Cowboys fans, it doesn't mean that. But for us, it meant we won the Super Bowl. I just need football back. It's too long to wait. I'm excited for the game tonight, which I'm a Packers fan tonight, rooting against the Commanders. Did we get anyone that tried to justify
No,
Okay.
everybody was essentially saying that the only time they would ever root for another NFC East team if it were to benefit the Eagles. So,
right.
Say later down the line when seeding actually matters in November, December, that's the only time people are saying that they would ever root for another team. And even then, I could see myself rooting a little bit for the Giants or the Commanders. I will never root for the Cowboys. Doesn't matter with seeding. Can't do it.
Right scenario, I might.
I'm not going to argue. It's just,
Yeah, no, it's
just
gross.
Makes me feel queasy.
It's definitely gross. Right scenario. Probably could bring myself to do it. One seat on the line. The old Max Kellerman, death beam pointed at Earth. Fate of the universe on the line.
I miss Max on ESPN.
Might do it. All right. Dallas Goedert did not participate in practice yesterday, dealing with the knee. Interesting. Obviously was productive in his first game of the season, in their first game of the season, the whole team's first game of the season. I see that. Part of me is all right, veteran. He was beat up certainly in that game. Maybe I shouldn't make too much of it. We're going to talk to Olivia Reiner coming up in the next segment from the Philadelphia Inquirer about the Eagles, about the matchup with the Chiefs. I'm very intrigued as to what explanation we get on that one. And obviously, we're going to hear from Sirianni tomorrow. We'll get a better idea there. It does change things for me as much as we've seen, obviously, a number of times without, when Calcaterra or when Goddard's not there, Calcaterra, Granson, what they're going to have. Hate to see it this early, so I'm hoping that it's just one of those things that I'm kind of talking myself into where, he was beat up week one. Let's just let this play out throughout the week. That was interesting. Good to see that Dickerson was a limited participant in practice. That's encouraging from his point of view, especially with the offensive line wanting to get that running game going. It is worrisome that he's battled through as much as he has, and we're talking about the second game of the season. So that's a look at the injury report. But while I talk about two guys on the Eagles offense, I want to pose this question that feels almost crazy. And you could get in on this and let me know if I'm crazy at 610-632-0975. I understand that Mahomes and Kelsey are still on that side of the football. Andy Reid's still the play caller on that side of the football. And that Chiefs offense obviously has the history of being what it is. Am I crazy to go into this game looking at this wow, I'm way more worried about the Chiefs defense? You have potentially one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Well, he is one of, potentially the greatest that we've seen, talent-wise, in the NFL. One of the best tight ends we've ever seen. One of the best play callers. And I'm sitting here I know what Herbert did to them last week. I know what Hurts and this offense was able to do to them in the Super Bowl. They beat them the last two times they played them. And maybe this is just me looking at all right, I already have accepted that Mahomes is going to get his. I expect them to, come out, have an adjustment to the Super Bowl, put up 20-something points. And maybe it's just the idea that where will they be picking up the blitz, and maybe I didn't see everything fire on all cylinders after the first half offensively. But given the fact that they're down their top two wide receivers in Rice and Worthy, and that does to me kind of plays into the hand of a secondary that I don't necessarily feel comfortable with, but if they have to go against lesser receivers, feel comfortable with that. I don't necessarily come in here with the fear of the Kansas City offense that I think I should have. I'm curious to see the way people react to that when you get in with us at 610-632-0975. Coming up in the next segment, we'll talk to Olivia Reiner of the Philadelphia Inquirer. And then after that, we'll react a little bit to what I said there, because it was just a creeping thought in my head. And maybe by the time we get in here tomorrow and I dive into the matchup the rest of the day today and we go through 4 hours of it tomorrow, maybe I'll say, you know what, Ray, you were a step too far. But just given the personnel they're down on the offensive side of the ball, I just look at it and say, yeah, if the Eagles just hold serve offensively against that Chiefs defense, I feel really good about this game. Maybe it's too simple of me to think. Maybe not. I'm right down. Take it to the Midday Show here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now, on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
I'm Austin Jones with your Fanatic Sports Update. The Phillies won their series against the Mets, and they got one more game to go, but they're up 3-0 in the series after beating the Mets 11-3 last night. They have a 10-game lead in the NL East. Max Kepler had 5 RBIs, and Bryce Harper hit his 25th home run on the year. Jesus Luzardo is on the mound tonight as first pitch is set for 7:15. The game's going to be on Fox. The Eagles returned to practice yesterday without Dallas Goedert as he missed practice with a knee injury. Landon Dickerson and Jalen Hunt were both limited. This is the 5th straight year that the Eagles play the Chiefs, and Jaylen Hurts spoke about facing their defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo as, they have some familiarity.
You have all those things to have for reference while understanding that the game changes and the game evolves and teams change. And so, overall, you're dealing with someone that is very high IQ at a game of football, and he calls it that way, and he coaches it that way. And that's something that jumps out on the tape.
This update is brought to you by the International Hot Rod Association, and Durana Hybrid, reigniting racing and skilled trades mentorship education legacy. Get your tickets at ihra.com. I'm Austin Jones, your home of the best birds coverage, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Now the Eagles get ready for the Super Bowl rematch as it's all being, put out this week, that it's the Eagles and the Chiefs again. Now, we were talking this morning. We don't believe that it was 40-6 when the starters went out. We don't believe the two teams were that lopsided in talent against each other. But the beatdown on that day was very visible. To see Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes get taken out like that, what do you think they've got cooking for Sunday? And Steve Spagnuolo.
I think that it's going to be a tough challenge because, look, the Chiefs lost their first game, and they're 0-1. So they're the only team in that division, amazingly enough, after 1 week, that didn't win a game. I mean, it would be something if the Chiefs fell 0-2. 0-2. There's no way that they've ever started 0-2 under Mahomes. No way. So that to me is one of the biggest challenges that the Eagles face is you're getting their A game this Sunday. Home opener for them, 0-1. Like you're gonna get their best game on Sunday.
Shefty, Zadarius Smith signs with the Eagles. Then they make the trade for Tank Bigsby. Was this something that you believe has been in the works for a while, or was this something to do with week 1?
Both were in the works for a while. Zadarius Smith they've been talking to for quite some time. I think that they were moving towards the deal, didn't get it done in time for the opener, and obviously then got it done shortly thereafter the next day. Tank Bigsby, the conversations with the Jaguars dated back to this summer. Initially, Tank Bigsby was supposed to be a part of that deal with Fred Johnson, the offensive tackle.
Interesting.
And there were some discussions, and Jacksonville, at the end, pulled him back from the trade. And they had agreed to 2 separate packages. One that was a solo Fred Johnson trade, another that was a Fred Johnson and Tank Bigsby trade together. In the end, ultimately at that time, Jacksonville decided it only wanted to part ways with Fred Johnson, but obviously the Eagles remained interested in Tank Bigsby, went back to the well, and finally were able to pry him loose for a 5 and a 6.
A Chiefs offense without Rashee Rice and without Xavier Worthy, I mean, now you're down to, I get it, Travis Kelce's still a guy who can make some plays, and Marquise Brown had 10 catches for 99 yards. When has ever a Chiefs receiver caught 10 passes and not even had 100 yards?
Welcome back into the Midday Show here on 97.5 The Fanatic. I'm Ray Dunn taking you through it. Plenty of Phillies conversations, more Birds conversation to come, and certainly right here in this segment, something that's become a regular here on the Midday Show while I've been sitting in this chair, is one of the beat writers for the Philadelphia Inquirer when it comes to covering the Eagles, the one and only Olivia Reiner. Olivia, how are you today?
I'm doing well. It's really quite the honor to be considered a regular now, right? That makes me feel really happy.
I mean, at this point, I think it's 3 times in 3 weeks. That feels like a regular.
I think that's regular status. Like I said, it's an honor.
It's an honor to have you on, and I want to quickly get to the more housekeeping issues of yesterday, seeing that injury report come out. What did you make of Dallas Goedert not practicing and Landon Dickerson being limited?
Yeah, I think we'll start with Goddard. I was a little surprised to not see him out there just because he looked fine in the game, and he played quite a high volume of snaps in that game, over 80% of the offensive snaps, not to mention he was on the field until the bitter end, the very final Jaylen Hurts kneel down of the game. So it was quite surprising to not see him out there at all. But we'll see. You know, there's still plenty of time left before the Eagles have to leave for Kansas City for Sunday's game. The Eagles get back on the field in a little bit less than an hour, and they'll practice again tomorrow. So we'll see if he's able to get back out there. But I'm not putting the cart before the horse yet with Goddard when it comes to his status. And you know, obviously he has been quite injured in his especially in recent years in his tenure here in Philadelphia, including last season when he missed 7 games due to various injuries. But yeah, he's also a pretty tough guy, so we'll see if he's able to get back into action today or tomorrow and get back on the field for Sunday. And then for Dickerson, yeah, I mean, there is no one tougher on this Eagles team when it comes to Landon Dickerson and what he's been able to play through. He dealt with a back injury last week and ultimately was managing that back injury going into the game, had to drop out in the fourth quarter. We saw Brett Toth take some snaps at left guard in his place. But, yeah, to see him back out there yesterday was not all that much of a shock, just given what we know about Dickerson and how tough he is. And, yeah, we'll see how he progresses as the week continues. But a good sign that he was back out there on Wednesday getting set for Kansas City.
We start with Goddard in that question, take you to the passing game in which Goddard was the beneficiary of, but, of course, the big conversation surrounding that this week has been the 2 wide receivers that didn't get a ton of action in that passing game. What did you make of the week 1 performance from the offense in that regard, the way they threw the football?
Yeah, I think there were some good things to take away, and there was also some not so good things to take away as well. And I think that's going to be the case in week 1 for a lot of these teams, Kansas City included. But specifically regarding the Eagles, yeah, there were some good things in the play calling. We saw, a really nice pass to Jahan Dotson that Jaylen Hurts made in the second quarter. A big, he continues to take strides, and that can be a big boon for the Eagles offense. But it's obviously a concern when you see a guy like A.J. Brown only get targeted, once in this game and have 1 reception. And not until toward the end of the game to that point. So at the end of the day, A.J. Brown needs to get involved more. The Dallas Cowboys played a lot of zone coverage, which I think ultimately A.J. Brown, he loves him some man coverage, single man coverage, and that's what he is so good against. And they didn't give him an inch in that regard. So it'll be interesting to see how the Chiefs, if they try to take a similar approach. But ultimately, yeah, I think Kevin Petula has some work cut out for him this week as he tries to figure out how this passing game can rebound. I just want to be clear. I still feel like even though A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, they weren't able to get the ball to them as much as they probably would have liked or probably would have planned going into that game, Jaylen Hurts was still very efficient with the football. He was very smart with the football and not forcing things and knowing when to throw the ball away when things weren't open for him or taking off when his receivers weren't open either. So I think there was some good quarterback play for sure, but ultimately, you want to see a little bit more from the passing game this upcoming week against Kansas City.
I know Jeff McClain pointed out on Twitter that they ran into stack boxes for Saquon Barkley way more than they had a season ago. And there was a line of questioning with Kevin Patullo with the running game. Did you feel like you were running into stack boxes way more than you had? And he kind of dodged, went around it, and said, not really. How did you assess what the running game looks like? And do you attribute some of that fourth quarter struggles in the running game to the personnel available there, considering they were without Dickerson?
Yeah, I don't know if it was necessarily just a Landon Dickerson dropping out thing. It seems to be an issue throughout the game. And, I mean, he did face a lot of stacked boxes. I think the number, according to Next Gen Stats, was over 66% of his carries came against those stacked boxes. And listen, I think there were a lot of issues at play, but just watching the game back, I didn't think the blocking was up to the caliber that we have seen especially last season from the Eagles, whether that was out of 12 personnel sets, 13, it just wasn't. It was not up to snuff, and I wonder how much of that had to do just with you mentioned some of the players going down. Aside from Landon Dickerson, I don't know, Ben Van Sumeren sustained a season-ending injury on the kickoff. We didn't get to see a lot of Van Sumeren in the preseason. They kept him pretty under wraps, but I wonder how much he was going to be a part of this Eagles rushing attack and how much they had to modify some of the plays with him, if they were prepared for that. I have a lot of questions about just the blocking in this game, and ultimately that's something I think that the Eagles need to clean up this upcoming week, going up against a team that had a lot of success in stifling them in the run game in the Super Bowl just not too long ago. So, like I said, a lot to clean up for this Eagles rushing attack this week.
We're talking to Olivia Reiner here from the Philadelphia Inquirer, and I will get to that matchup in just a moment, but I know you wrote about earlier this week, Vic Fangio talked about Dory Jackson saying that he expects him to make the start again this week. A lot of this fan base obviously clamoring for a little bit, I don't want to say not necessarily a change, but obviously a little bit more from that secondary from what you saw week one. What do you think their plan is there at corner in the short term and in the long term for that spot opposite of Quinyon Mitchell?
Well, in the short term, at the very least, it sounds like Adoree Jackson is going to get another chance in that role this upcoming weekend. Vic Fangio, I asked him about this on Tuesday. Is the plan for him to start again in week 2? And he said, for now, yeah, pretty much. So there's that, unless there's any change of heart between Tuesday and Sunday, which who knows, there very well could be. But for now, they're continuing to roll with Jackson. And I think the question is, do they have any better options in the short term? And I say short term because perhaps there's a chance that the Eagles get Jacorian Bennett involved. Maybe they like him enough, but maybe they need to see him a little bit more in practice. I don't know kind of where he stands right now, but ultimately he came in the middle of training camp, didn't see a ton of action, and got to spell Jackson a little bit in that game when he was being evaluated for a concussion against the Cowboys for about a series. So Bennett got 7 snaps. Fangio said that's not really enough to deduce exactly whether or not he's ready to step into that starting role. And then, of course, the other alternative could potentially be moving Cooper DeJean outside permanently and then having someone else step into that nickel role. And that doesn't seem to be on the table at the moment either. Vic Fangio said that they want him preferably to stay in that nickel role. So those are the options more or less in the short term. I suppose Fangio wasn't asked about Keely Ringo, but it seemed like Ringo had kind of fallen out of favor for that job by the end of training camp. So the options are the options right now. Like I said, maybe there's a chance that Bennett develops into that player down the stretch here later into the season, and perhaps someone else emerges at nickel cornerback, and then the Eagles would feel more comfortable leaving Cooper DeJean on the outside. But for now, it looks like Jackson is the guy they're going to roll with outside opposite Quinyon Mitchell.
Quickly before we get to the conversation about the Chiefs, there's been a lot of talk about discipline. And obviously in the wake of the Jaylen Carter situation with him getting ejected and all of us waiting forever to find out what exactly the punishment would be, that kind of takes the headline. But there was just a number of penalties against the Eagles in that game against the Cowboys. Being inside of the NovaCare complex, getting a chance to talk with a number of people in there, what's been the emphasis on discipline this week and focus for this group moving towards a Super Bowl rematch here with the Chiefs?
I think everyone has spoken about it and the importance of it, from Nick Sirianni to Jaylen Hurts. And Hurts was asked about this the other day, and it seems like, there's probably the spitting image of focus and discipline is Jaylen Hurts. So that the fact that the message is being echoed from the top in him, I think will go a long way for this team. Nolan Smith spoke about this yesterday too. He himself had a penalty of his own, a taunting penalty, and he expressed remorse about that. I think the big thing is that the NFL has made it incredibly clear that they are cracking down on those unsportsmanlike penalties, and whether or not subjectively you or I or whoever watching the game thinks that those transgressions deserve to be penalized or flagged, or you don't think they're extreme enough actions to warrant a flag, it kind of doesn't matter what we think. It's the NFL has really set out on this, and they've made it very clear to everyone, to the players. They have the officials come in and do a presentation to the local media in every market too, and I sat in on that, and they were making an emphasis about those calls in that meeting too to us. So it's very clear that this is an emphasis for the league. It can't happen going forward. Perhaps in order to learn your lesson, you need to make the mistake, and you won't make it again. But we'll see going forward if the Eagles are able to clean up their acts a little bit and to make smarter decisions in the heat of the moment, which can be easier said than done.
I reserve the right to still tweet out "No Fun League" when I disagree. All right, that's all I'm saying. I'm going to continue.
I'm not telling you what to do. You can have your feelings and your opinions on it, but at the end of the day, it's the stance the league is taking.
All right, now with the rematch here with the Chiefs, and maybe not necessarily getting into the nitty-gritty of the X and O, but just for me specifically, I'm curious. I know I typically hit you with the big takeaway question. For me, the big thing that sticks out when you think about going back to the Super Bowl, the rematch, what's the biggest thing you take from that Super Bowl game and apply to this matchup between these two sides coming into this one on Sunday?
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like even though the Super Bowl wasn't that long ago, it still feels like a long time ago. And right now the memories of the Chiefs that I have in my head are from Friday, because I just watched that game against the Chargers, and it was I think it was a reminder, and the Super Bowl was a reminder of this too at times. But Patrick Mahomes is a very special player and can create a lot out of thin air, even when he doesn't have the talent around him that perhaps other quarterbacks have. That's not always enough, and it wasn't enough on Friday, but he can make something out of nothing a lot of times. It's one of his gifts, and he did that on a number of occasions against the Chargers, and I think that's going to have to be a big point of emphasis with this Eagles defense this week, is that they need to be ready for him to try to extend plays. It doesn't necessarily matter that he's not going to have Rashee Rice because he's suspended. It's looking like Xavier Worthy might not be available for the game either because he sustained an injury on Friday. But even down his top two receivers, he was still able to get other players involved simply because he is able to use his legs to extend plays and make some magic happen for that team. So that's something that's on the top of my mind right now. And yeah, it's listen, I think week one is it can tend to be an anomaly for some teams. It's not necessarily indicative of what the team is going to look like all season long. And I don't think the Chiefs were at their best on Friday, especially not defensively. I thought it was a tough showing for them. Justin Herbert played a really impressive game. But at the same time, I think the Eagles have to expect they're going to see a better team week two at Arrowhead, trying to avenge not only the Super Bowl loss, but also their most recent loss on the road in Sao Paulo.
All right. I know it hasn't come out yet on the Inquirer, so I'm not trying to steal content from you guys. Could we get a lean from you on how you think this game's going?
I'm actually going to write my prediction later today, so I've been thinking about it, and earlier when we had to do our season-long game-by-game prediction, I believe I picked the Eagles for this game, and I actually think I'm going to stick with the Eagles for this game. I think there's a lot for this team to improve upon. There's no doubt in my mind. But I'm also, I was not completely, I feel like I'm going to contradict myself now, but yeah, I was not very encouraged by what I saw by the Chiefs on Friday, especially from a defensive perspective. And yeah, I think Jaylen Hurts has, especially over the years, he's seen this defense quite a bit. He knows Steve Spagnuolo well at this point, and he knows that the blitz is going to be coming, and he got blitzed quite a bit in both Super Bowl performances, and he handled both occasions, I thought, very well, especially the first Super Bowl appearance. But I think as long as they are ready for that and they communicate well and that he sets the protections well, I think he can continue to sustain that success against the blitz. So right now I'm leaning Eagles, but I mean, that's really tough. It's a tough road environment, and that team, yeah, they're going to be hungry coming off of that loss against the Chargers to open the season. It may not be the smartest or the safest pick, but it's the pick that I'm leaning toward right now.
All right, sounds good. I'm just saying, if I see something different than the Inquirer, the text is coming. I'm going to say, whoa, bait and switch on us here, Olivia. But I appreciate you always joining us, and thanks again for the time.
Oh, anytime, Ray.
Olivia Reiner from the Philadelphia Inquirer joining us on the Comcast Business Hotline. You can experience the new look of Inquirer Sports, where fans can read, watch, and listen to their favorite reporters and columnists. Go to inquirer.com/sports. Always great catching up with Olivia. And right there, she basically, without knowing, she called me crazy. She's like, that defense didn't look good week one. And it didn't. I don't know. Maybe it's the fact they're down their top two weapons. I'm trying to work it out in my head. I know, maybe it's because I feel like I know so much of what Mahomes is. And I have to imagine that defense as poor as it played in the Super Bowl. But now I'm letting outside factors again. It comes back to where we opened the show today. I'm letting outside narrative get into my brain. I think I'm overthinking this game. I really am. We have a tendency to do when we put together 20 hours of content. Coming up, Phil's Mets tonight, and I still could try to work through my brain why the defense of the Chiefs worries me even after I watched them put up 40 points against them in the Super Bowl. I don't know. Maybe I've lost it. I'm Ray Dunn. This is Midday Show, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, everybody, it's
Final segment for us, Unfiltered, coming your way at 2 o'clock. Bill Colarulo, Amy Fadul, Savannah Keller, coming your way. Amy's coming up at 2 o'clock. That hurts. She's going to be with us 2 days next week, I think. But it's like I'm sitting here like, what are you doing here? Supposed to be on middays here.
It's just disrespectful sometimes.
Colarulo. Maybe
Bill.
Maybe
Again,
that's why
Bill
I need the
steals your thunder.
I think what I need here is I need the alliance with the morning show mostly for the fact that I just need some more people to help me against Colarulo. Is what I'm basically saying. Because we still got time in this show, but I'm sure he's like 2 minutes away from just standing out there and staring in. I got a show in 10 minutes, man. I got a show. I know, man. Anyways, appreciate Olivia Reiner joining us in the last segment there. Tremendous job covering the team for the Inquirer. And I think she did a really good job of knocking some sense into me with the, that defense didn't look good for the Chiefs. Maybe you got to relax. And I'm curious, did we get anyone on the text line that was like, yeah, this man's crazy?
No. So that might mean that, you are crazy. They just don't want to tell you that you're crazy.
I
think
think that's
be the other
case.
end.
That might be the case. It might be that people are trying to be nice. Or that they were trying to rationalize what I was saying. They're like, maybe I could get there, but I'm just going to let him sit with this one. I don't know. I think maybe because I just know that I think that they're going to get, I think there's going to be 20-something points. Like when John Price joined us earlier and said, hey, the over for Kansas City and Philadelphia is a good one. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I think there's going to be 20-plus scored by the Chiefs. And I think the Eagles going to be able to keep pace with them, regardless whether I think they're not going to win the game. So maybe it's more that I think there's a crucial stop. I don't know.
I'm just curious to know how, even if Worthy is playing or not playing, right? For this conversation, we'll say he's playing, but he's bandaged up. You don't have, you're still more concerned in regards to the Chiefs' defense.
Well, I don't think he's going to play, so that plays into it. I think they're going to be without their top two receivers.
Okay, so you don't think in that respect that the Eagles have more of a better runway to, produce better?
But it's not so much that it's not anything against the Eagles. It's my looking at the Chiefs and saying, do I find myself more concerned about this defense coming into this game or this offense? The Kansas City side. Not the Eagles side. It has nothing to do with the Eagles. It just has to do strictly with what the Kansas City Chiefs have available to them. Because that's kind of where this thought process lies. If you're without your top two receivers, I get you have Mahomes. But Hollywood Brown, is that where Juju Smith-Schuster?
Juju on that beat?
He's Mahomes. I think that I have to just rest with that. Where he's Mahomes, he has to be the greatest concern that you have.
I can respect that.
But, all right, let's clean up the text line a little bit. Let's just roll through an assortment because we got into a lot today. What do we got on there?
Yeah, so this is Sean from Sentiments, and this is going back to the Mets. Seems like Sean's already moved on. He said, now that we buried the Mets, it's time to shift our focus on distancing ourselves from the Dodgers. Then, since they've been slipping, the Brewers keep up the momentum and don't take any nights off. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's a chance you can get the top seed. I still don't think it's likely. There's a chance. We played the Jason Stark audio for you earlier. It's not out of play. It's going to be tough. 2.5 games with them having the tiebreaker. Nothing's out of the question, but it doesn't feel very likely. And looking at the standings, talking about just keeping some distance from the Dodgers still 4 games behind you. The thing is, if you continue to win, we don't really have to have a conversation about this because they can't catch you that way. It's going to be next week. We're going to react Monday to what happened with the Eagles, and then we're going to be in a Phillies-Dodgers mode. It's a beautiful month. Beautiful month of reaction here.
That's 2 West Coast games. Well, 1 series, 1 football game out there because the Eagles are playing the Rams. They're not out the Rams, but they're playing the Rams.
I was going to say.
Sorry,
like,
LA,
wait.
It's an LA week. My apologies.
I was going to say, yeah, okay, it's an LA week. I was like, no, they're not playing the Rams out there. I was like, I'm ready to start rearranging my plans for that Sunday. I was like, I thought that game was at home. What are you doing to me, Austin? Don't freak me out like that, Austin.
That's my bad. Well, I got another one that might freak you out.
Okay.
You might have to. You made a bet earlier.
I did.
This text is saying that you can order Skyline chili on Goldbelly.
Goldbelly?
I don't know what Goldbelly is. You'll have to look at that research on your downtime in case you need Skyline chili in a pinch.
Goldbelly. It's What? Oh, is this like one of those apps where you can buy food for, like, you can get food delivered to? We've done this where we send like a cheesesteak to my aunt out there in Portland. Is that what this is?
It might be. I've never heard of it.
Legendary Chefs. Maybe it's not this. No, it's definitely not this. Maybe it is this. I don't know. Oh, yeah, I guess maybe you can do this. Can I make this happen? All right. Well, hopefully they help out to get the top seed. I don't want to eat the Skyline chili, but I've said it, so I have to do it.
Right. And then last one here is in regards to the documentaries that we were asking, like which
person you would sit down for 5 hours to watch about their life.
Yes, this is Karate Mark saying that he would like to watch a 5-hour documentary on Meta World Peace.
Ooh, that's a good one. I would as well. That'd be good. I was actually going to say Dennis Rodman earlier when we were going back and forth.
Oh.
I would watch 5 hours.
You might need more than 5 hours for Rodman.
Yeah, but I would watch 5 hours worth of content. Just getting into his life. That would be one. Try and think through other stars that I'm like very intrigued by their life story. I would probably do, even though I feel like this is now just the media, like the Manning family dynasty. I think 5 hours on like just.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That would be interesting. Yeah, so those are some good ones. I think today I'm going to go back and watch the second one. I watched all the way 2.5 hours of the Billy Joel doc. It was great. I was bumping some Billy Joel over the last 24 hours. I mean, I love Billy Joel's music, so it's not surprising that I enjoyed the documentary. But it's just great to see the way the way the marriage falls apart and the songs and the music. It's great. It's good stuff. You seen the Billy Joel documentary, Amy Fiddle? It's really good. Big fan of it.
They're pulling up on you, right?
Yeah, they are. I can't hear Bill. Bill's trying to do the whole "look at me, I've got muscles" thing, intimidating. Doesn't work through the glass, buddy. You can't fight me through the glass. You have to come in here if you're gonna fight me. It's all right. Just continue to do it. You guys got to do your show in 30 seconds. Whatever. Appreciate you hanging out here tonight. Phillies Mets, by the way, go for the 4-game sweep. Be absolutely beautiful. I'm so glad to have my Sandy back with this baseball team. I'm so glad that they're making me consider buying back in. All the way. And I'm concerned about my health with that. But David Peterson on the mound tonight. Jesus Luzardo. Just lock up that third starter spot in the rotation for the playoffs tonight. Just do that for me so we can say that tomorrow and put that on ice. I'm Ray Dunn. Appreciate you all listening. I hope to talk to you again real soon. This has been the Midday Show, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic.